Chapter 173. After sending little Pomelo and Murphy flying, Ao Jin no longer held back. He began to perform the sword manipulation technique, intending to widen the distance and launch a long-range attack. This was because he knew that if he let the two of them get close to him, with their ghostly movements, he was likely to be hit again. However, the amount of blood in his body was not enough for him to take any more damage. At this moment, Ao Jin suddenly felt that the sight in front of him was rapidly darkening. Endless darkness shrouded him, blocking his hearing, smell, vision, and other senses. In this darkness, the two figures quickly approached, but Ao Jin could not detect them at all. Two cold lights suddenly appeared at this moment. Just when the audience thought that the winner of the battle was about to be decided, the sound of metal clashing was heard. Murphy and little Pomelo, who were close to him, were repelled again. "How can you still sense us?" Murphy said in horror as he looked at Ao Jin, whose eyes were tightly shut. Ao Jin did not speak because his senses were blocked at this time, and he could not hear any sound from the outside world. He just gently moved his hands in the air, and the 9 spiritual swords circled around him like a guard. The two of them did not believe it, so they flashed and dashed toward Ao Jin again. Ding! Ding! A crisp sound was heard. The black and white spiritual swords were suspended on the left and right respectively, and they still managed to resist this surprise attack. Faced with this strange scene, there was an uproar outside the arena. They could not understand how Ao Jin did it. The battle was still going on, but no matter how the two of them attacked, they could not break through Ao Jin's defensive sword formation, which made them very anxious. Crayon Shinchan. Can anyone tell me why? Didn't turning off the light block the senses? How did Ao Jin find them? Confused emoji, cultivating longevity. If I'm not wrong, it should be the heart sword territory. Using the heart to control the sword. Although the 5 senses are blocked in this territory, all things that are not swordsmanship will be sensed by the spiritual swords, and they will automatically defend and respond. Peppa Boar replied to cultivating longevity. Are you shooting a movie? Your explanation is so normal, and it makes so much sense. If I hadn't been educated, I would have been fooled by you. Laughing emoji. Invincible_loneliness. I think the analysis of the person above is very reasonable. Roving sword is definitely going to perform innumerable swords in a while. Laughing emoji. Crayon_Shinchan. The analysis above is right. In fact, Ao Jin's real identity is a sword immortal in reality. The heart sword realm is nothing to him. Later, he will reach out and shout, "Sword." Then the scene of thousands of swords saluting would be terrifying. Laughing emoji. Schwelly. Facepalm. That's enough. Can't you guys analyze the technique seriously? Don't talk about useless stuff. Study it carefully and learn from it. Faced with the almost unbreakable defense of the sword array, the two of them, who had been unable to break through the defense, finally stopped. The turn-off lights effect also disappeared. Ao Jin slowly opened his eyes and looked at Murphy and little Pomelo with excitement in his eyes. It really works. How did you do it? Murphy was astonished. Hearing that, Ao Jin smiled. After watching the video you posted, I have been thinking about how to break this technique. After all, the 5 senses are blocked. Logically speaking, there is no way to break it in a battle. Starting from this aspect, I specially went to visit someone. He told me that the heart sword can be broken. This is the heart sword realm that I researched, which can be used to defend without using the 5 senses. I just didn't expect it to work. The person that Ao Jin went to visit this time was none other than Wu Qing, the swordsman that he wanted to surpass all his life. Originally, Wu Qing did not accept this challenge, because in his opinion, Ao Jin had already been possessed. If he continued to be so obsessed, he would eventually hurt himself. However, in the face of Ao Jin's aggressiveness, he really had no choice but to agree in the end. However, this time, Ao Jin displayed swordsmanship that was far beyond the secular world, which completely shocked Wu Qing. What was even more unexpected was that Ao Jin's last display of the sword manipulation technique caught him off guard. If Ao Jian did not stop at the last moment, he would have died. However, Ao Jian finally let him go and said that he already had a higher goal. Surpassing him and killing him was no longer that important. Wu Qing's heart was full of doubts. He did not know what happened to Ao Jian during this period of time. His body no longer revealed anger and hatred, but strong confidence and determination. Before leaving, Ao Jian thought of his next challenge target and asked Wu Qing, "If the five senses are blocked, how can you fight with your opponent?" Although Wu Qing was puzzled, he still answered Ao Jian's question, which was the heart sword. From Wu Qing, Ao Jian learned that the heart sword realm was divided into attack and defense. Now that he had comprehended defense, the next step was to comprehend offense. At this time, Ao Jian was excited. Since the defense of the heart sword realm was feasible, it must be possible to attack. As long as he comprehended the attack of the heart sword realm, then everything that was not a swordsmanship would become the target of the spiritual sword. This seemingly unsolvable, since blocking might not be impossible for him to fight. "We can't break through your defense." At this time, Murphy put away his dagger and said, "I can't beat you either." Ao Jian regained his senses and waved his hand. The 9 spiritual swords automatically lined up on his back. "This mission is a failure." Murphy nodded and turned around to hold little Pomelo's hand. The two began to retreat. "I will come back to you. Next time, we will determine the winner." Ao Jian said, We don't like to fight." Little Pomelo turned around and made a face at Ao Jian. Ao Jian did not reply, but he knew that he would challenge them. The pursuit of the ultimate swordsmanship was his goal, and a strong opponent could help him sharpen his sword heart. At the end of this battle, the players outside the arena were also stunned. They did not expect that it would end in a draw. However, the popularity of the forum did not diminish. Once again, they began to discuss and analyze the various skills of this battle. Many professional players even opened analysis posts for the players to learn from their combat experience. "Murphy, 1,000 soul coins are gone. What a pity." Little Pomelo pouted and looked depressed. "He is really strong, but we will definitely surpass him in the future." Before Murphy could finish his words, a game notification suddenly appeared. Game notification. Player Chi Ming has added you as a friend. Murphy thought it was another player who wanted to put up a bounty, so he immediately clicked confirm. Then, a voice chat box appeared. "Chi Ming, hello, are you the Dark Shadow twins?" Murphy, "Yes, who do you want to kill? What's the price?" Chi Ming, No. I just want to ask, where did you get the inheritance? Of course, I'm just curious. If you don't want to tell me, I won't force you. Murphy, there's nothing to keep a secret. In the Arctic Abyss, which is the southernmost part of Baiki. If you want to go, remember to buy a lot of health recovery potions. It's very cold there. Also, there's a big boss in the Ghost Emperor realm. Try not to provoke him. Chi Ming, thank you for your guidance. Murphy nodded and then closed the chat box. Ding! When the conversation box ended, an email appeared in front of Murphy. Murphy was stunned. After opening the email, he found out that there were 288 soul coins in it, and a paragraph was added at the bottom. "I thank you for your guidance on the inheritance. This is a great favor, and these soul coins are a token of my appreciation." Chapter 174. The Void Ocean, the Crystal Palace. The Sea King paced back and forth with a terrible look on his face. At this moment, a subordinate walked over quickly. "Lord Sea King, Coconut Island has been invaded. The spiritual materials in 2 of the spiritual fields have been taken away by foreign clans." Bang! Upon hearing this, the Sea King's feet shook violently, creating a pit on the ground. This was not the first time. Recently, the islands where he placed his spiritual materials and treasures had been invaded one after another. This made the Sea King very angry. In the Void Ocean, such a provocative plundering situation had happened for the first time. The Sea King did not know which force was targeting him. "Have you found out which force it is? How do they know the location of the island where I place my treasures, and how do they know the distribution of the guards?" The Sea King stared at his subordinate who was kneeling on one knee and asked, "I sent someone to investigate and found out that these forces have a characteristic. Their tools of navigation are all Spectre ships and specter warships. Therefore, I suspect that it's done by a sea merchant force. Sea merchants? Speaking of sea merchants, the Sea King remembered the sea merchant cuttlefish who was killed by Xiao Tian. This incident cost him a lot to calm down. I've already paid compensation to the Western Continent Chamber of Commerce. It can't be them. Moreover, with the strength of the Western Continent Chamber of Commerce, they will definitely lose if they fight with me. The Sea King denied this speculation after some thought. However, if it wasn't the Western Continent Chamber of Commerce, the Sea King could not figure out which one was targeting him secretly. After a moment of contemplation, the Sea King spoke again. Continue to investigate. Continue to investigate. We must find out who this force is. Yes. The subordinate received the order and left quickly. While the Sea King was annoyed by this matter, the official website of Battle Online was in an uproar. At this moment, a pinned guidepost on the official forum had more than 5 million likes. It could be said to have created the highest number of likes in the history of Battle Online. Sea King's Treasure Guide in the Void Ocean, produced by Lil Bailey, version 1, pinned by the official forum. Content. If you want treasures and spiritual materials, follow the map. I'll put them there. Friendly reminder from Lil Bailey. Version 2 is still collecting information. Please stay tuned. Attached picture, area where the Sea King placed spiritual materials. Attached picture, area where the Sea King placed treasures. Attached picture, area where the Sea King placed treasures. There were a total of 13 maps in this pinned post. These maps clearly mark the storage points of the Sea King's spiritual materials and treasures, and even the distribution of guards at these storage points were clearly marked. This post caused quite a stir in the forum. In particular, the title of the post was official pinned, which meant that the content of the post was officially acknowledged, and the internal information was also true. Immediately, a large number of players began to advance toward the Void Ocean according to the map. As a large number of players obtained treasures and spiritual materials from the marked points on the map and shared more detailed information on the forum, the players who were initially watching from the sidelines could no longer hold back and began to swarm into the Void Ocean. Meanwhile, the players who had gained something from the game gave the post high praise. Invincible_loneliness. Thank you, OP. Thank you so much. Your post has helped our guild gain a lot. Tip. 100 soul coins, a mammoth. Wow. I really looted a batch of spiritual materials based on the coordinates on the map. Tip. 100 soul coins, swordsman who abhors evil. Thank you, OP. It must have taken you a lot of effort to explore these areas. This is your reward. Tip. 100 soul coins, dreadful_beast. 666. I found a material warehouse according to the coordinates. Although I was killed by the guards in the end, I got 3 spiritual materials. I just sold them, and now I have money to change my class. Thank you very much. Tip. 50 soul coins, fat_happy_water. OP. Our team found the water screen island according to your map. We also found the treasure house, but we were accidentally discovered by the guards. In the end, we didn't get anything, but we still want to reward you. Tip. 50 soul coins. It could be said that this post officially opened the era of the Great Voyage for the players. After all, the main purpose of many players was to search for islands when they went out to sea. They were not sure if they could get anything from the sea. However, it was different now. The storage points of these treasures were clearly marked on the map. Even the players who could not afford to keep a ship could not help but use the soul coins they had saved to buy a Spectre ship, planning to go to the marked points to try their luck. The whole forum was filled with the atmosphere of yearning for the sea. The initiators of all this were, of course, Lu Wu and Bailey. Obtaining these sea maps was one of the main reasons why they recruited Xiao Tian. Xiao Tian was one of the highest commanders of the Sea King Navy. He knew the Void Ocean very well, and he even knew the location of many islands that the Sea King used to store his treasures. Now that he had completely become a part of Beiki, he had nothing to hide, so he told them everything he knew. Bailey, on the other hand, made more than 10 treasure maps of the Void Ocean according to Xiao Tian's words. Then, she posted them on the official forum using her Smuff account. She publicized the matter as a professional player and confirmed the authenticity of the post in the name of the official forum. Sure enough, the effect was great. Many of the places where the Sea King's treasures were stored were raided by the players. A large number of spiritual materials and spiritual items were stolen, causing a lot of trouble for the Sea King. Bei Li's Smuff account instantly became a professional player in the forum. She was even given the title of the God of Exploration by the players. The reward below the post alone was more than 100,000 soul coins. Of course, these soul coins still went into Lu Wu's pocket. However, Lu Wu was prepared to face the possible consequences of such a large-scale raid, which was a full-scale war with the Sea King. At this stage, there was still a huge gap between the strength of the players and the Sea King Navy. However, Lu Wu also had someone that the Sea King was afraid of, and that was Tonghua. At this time, the Sea King had no idea that Tonggua's ability was completely dependent on fate. Hence, Tonghua could become a potential force that the Sea King was afraid of. Although a large-scale battle might not break out quickly, a small-scale battle was completely unstoppable. However, the players would not be afraid of a small-scale battle. They were completely immortal, and if they were to wear each other down, the Sea King Navy would definitely suffer a loss in overall strength, not Lu Wu's side. On the contrary, the players would gradually improve their overall strength in such a small-scale battle. Hence, Lu Wu's current idea was to create as many small-scale battles as possible and wear down the enormous strength of the Sea King Navy bit by bit until they were completely defeated in the end. Using war to nurture war, this was the invasion route that the players should take. Chapter 175. Beiki, the Arctic Abyss. A figure holding a wooden staff came from afar and slowly stepped into the world of ice and snow. His figure was soon covered by the swirling snow. After learning from Murphy that there was an inheritance in the Arctic Abyss, Qi Ming had made sufficient preparations and planned to explore it in search of an opportunity. Qi Ming was different from Ao Jian. His desire to become stronger was very steady and did not have the slightest drive. This was because he did not want to become stronger for the sake of becoming stronger. His main goal of becoming stronger was still to cultivate immortality. There were many opportunities for cultivation in this game, so he did not want to miss this opportunity. Just as Murphy said, the interior of the Arctic Abyss was very cold. As he went deeper and deeper, bloody words began to appear above his head. At this moment, Qi Ming waved his staff, and a ferocious evil spirit drilled out of the ground and began to circle around him. The ability of the evil spirit isolated him from the outside world, and the bone-piercing chill suddenly subsided. Just as he wanted to go deeper, several figures suddenly appeared in front of him. Then, the tall leading boy reached out his hand and waved at him. Catch him! Suddenly, several figures rushed toward him at an extremely fast speed. Qi Ming was shocked and quickly raised his staff to summon the spirits. However, they were too fast, and he was smashed to the ground before he could react. Hey, it's not them. We got the wrong person. After seeing Qi Ming's face clearly, the leading boy scratched his head, looking very embarrassed. It's all your fault. At this moment, the boy next to him raised his fist and punched him in the face. Boom! A group fight broke out, causing the ground to tremble and snow to fly. Qi Ming stood up slowly and patted his clothes. He looked at the Ice Snow Clan teenagers who were fighting with a dumbfounded face. Initially, he thought it was a sneak attack, but it did not seem to be the case. It was a private dispute between them, and he was just inadvertently involved. After using analysis to look at the Ice Snow Clan teenagers, Qi Ming's face showed a surprised look. He thought about it and quickly walked toward the interior of the Arctic Abyss. He could not afford to offend these teenagers. But before Qi Ming could take a few steps, another figure landed in front of him. It was none other than the overlord of the Arctic Abyss, Frozen. He reached out and grabbed Qi Ming's shoulder. Then his body floated up into the air. Qi Ming felt his vision begin to blur. When his body stabilized, he found himself in front of an ice crystal cliff. There were many ice sculptures of creatures embedded in the cliff. Foreigner, you've entered the Ice Snow Tribe's forbidden area. How do you want to die? Qi Ming. Looking at the map that showed the forbidden area of the Ice Snow Clan, Qi Ming was a little confused. Weren't you the one who brought me here? However, after analyzing Frozen's panel, Qi Ming could not help but be stunned on the spot. He could not imagine that the boy in front of him was a terrifying existence in the Ghost Emperor realm. Tell me, how do you want to die? Frozen floated in the air and looked down at Qi Ming arrogantly. Didn't you bring me here? Qi Ming whispered. Shut up, you shameless bastard. You trespassed into the Ice Snow Clan's forbidden area without permission and violated the Ice Snow Clan's rules. You even dare to slander me? Qi Ming, you're amazing, you're right. Qi Ming suddenly did not want to explain anymore. Although you violated the Ice Snow Clan's taboo, I can spare your life, but you have to answer a few questions of mine first. Frozen spoke again. Qi Ming looked up at Frozen and suddenly felt very tired. If you want to ask questions, just ask. Why do you have to make it so scary? I'm not afraid of death. Ask away, clan leader Frozen. Frozen thought that Qi Ming had compromised, so he nodded proudly. Let me ask you, who is the current lord of the land of Beiki? He had asked Murphy and little Pomelo the same question before, but they told him that it was Lu Yin. This made Frozen think that the former king of Beiki was already dead, and he almost made a huge mistake. Hence, he decided to ask about it this time. The king of Beiki? The king of Beiki is indeed the king of Beiki. I don't even know his name. After all, he had never been to Tonggua's place. Like most players, he did not know that the current king of Beiki was called Lu Yin. You don't know? You're not from the land of Beiki? Frozen looked a little surprised. I'm a member of the Beiki army, but I really don't know the name of the king of Beiki. All right, then let me ask you, do you know North Sea? Where's he in Beiki now? North Sea? I've never heard of him. Qi Ming shook his head again. How is that possible? He's the strongest in Beiki. How could you not have heard of him? Frozen's heart shuddered at the thought of the arrogant and despotic man who suppressed all the forces of Beiki and became the first king of Beiki in a supreme manner. That's impossible. Aren't the strongest in Beiki the Rock Ghost King, the Hydra King, and other Ghost Kings? Qi Ming was also stunned. Why did it feel like they were talking on a completely different channel? What bullsh Astros T Rock Ghost King and Hydra King? Have you really never heard of North Sea? Frozen was a little exasperated. He could not understand what the king of Beiki was plotting. Why was there no longer any legend about him in the land of Beiki? What was even stranger was that he was still alive, so why was he not the king of Beiki anymore? I've never heard of this person. Qi Ming looked at Frozen with a strange expression. Impossible, impossible. By the way, tell me, how did the current king of Beiki ascend to the throne? I don't believe that he has the strength to seize the throne from my king. Frozen's face turned ferocious as he spoke. The current king of Beiki is loved by all living beings in the land of Beiki. He's popular, so naturally, he ascended to the throne. Qi Ming told him the background introduction that appeared when he first entered the game. Are you AF Astra's king, fool? Is there anyone in Beiki who doesn't fight for it? Frozen rolled up his sleeves angrily, looking as if he was about to beat him up. What I said is true. The current king of Beiki fought against the Black Dragon King for the sake of all living beings in the land of Beiki. He sacrificed himself for justice and finally turned into a fireball, perishing together with the Black Dragon King, saving all living beings in the land of Beiki. Qi Ming sighed as he recalled the shocking CG at the beginning of the game. Upon hearing this, Frozen's eyes widened. Who the hell is the Black Dragon King? Sacrificing himself for justice? Are you telling me a story? What Murphy and little Pomelo said last time was already a little unbelievable to him. This time, there was something even more ridiculous. Even the Black Dragon King had appeared. Frozen felt that his worldview would be overturned if he continued asking questions like this. Hence, he clenched his fists and picked up Qi Ming with his right hand. I can't stand you anymore. If I don't beat you until you scream, I'll admit defeat. Chapter 176. Skill Introduction. This is a special skill with no cooldown time. After using it, the user will be able to browse through the 3,000 ghost spells. The internal spells need to be learned on your own. Server announcement. Congratulations to player Qi Ming for successfully advancing to the inherited class, Hades. Ghost Path. Yes, Qi Ming said calmly. Looking at Qi Ming, who had lost all hope in life, Frozen thought for a while and asked again, cough, cough. Kid, you're quite talented. How about it? Are you interested in joining the Ice Snow Clan and becoming one of us? Let me have a look. Frozen nodded and waved his hand. A small black dot appeared and kept expanding as it rotated. In the blink of an eye, it had a diameter of half a meter. Frozen was stunned when he heard this. He then lowered his head and pondered. Active effect. Use. Smile of the infinite. Incomplete. : help me find them and kill them. Frozen was furious when he thought of the two people who almost broke his legs. Since Frozen could not detect the existence of the artifact, it was a miracle to him. He was completely stunned by Qi Ming's talent. Skill introduction. Activate the realm of Ghost Realm. The realm lasts for 4 minutes. Every second, 10 low-level ghosts will be born in the realm of Ghost Realm. They will attack any non-party targets that enter the realm. Cooldown time, 48 hours. Frozen once stole some of the Ghost Path spells from it. However, because it did not match his own ability, he threw it away in the Ice Snow Clan's treasure vault. Nevertheless, it was still an extremely high-level inheritance. He knew that it was the Ghost Path that he had been pursuing all his life. It was the true Ghost Path that he had been cultivating in seclusion in the Snow Mountain for 100 years. However, the person in front of him had just obtained the inheritance and understood its profound meaning. He had even changed the energy system flowing in his body. It was unbelievable to Frozen. Skill introduction. After using this skill on the target will be marked with a cursed secret mark. The target will lose 5 HP per second for 120 seconds. The effect of this skill can be affected by the user's attributes. I can't beat him? While the players were in an uproar, Qi Ming's body began to digitize. After being beaten up, Qi Ming had no intention of helping him at all. He just wanted to see what Frozen, who did not have the cultivation of a powerhouse, wanted to do. Then, do you know these two people? Frozen waved his hand, and the ice crystals in front of him scattered. Then, the images of Murphy and Little Pomelo appeared. Seeing the analysis of the black sphere, Qi Ming revealed a horrified expression. How could he not know how terrifying the value of this sphere was? However, Bing Feng, who had no cultivation at all, had given it to him so easily. Forget it, I can't beat them, Qi Ming said truthfully. Class beginner skills, 3000 Ghost Path, gold-ranked passive skill, Nether Ghost Steps, Soul Refining Secret Seal, Demonic Demon Heart Seal, Eerie Smile. Incomplete. After a fierce beating, Qi Ming was put down again. Passive effect. Mark of the Sinluo Nether Clan, Royal Family of the Sinluo region. Nether Ghost Steps LV1, : what can you give me? Qi Ming suddenly thought of something. After watching the battle between Murphy and Ao Jian, Qi Ming still had some self-awareness. Other than the self-explosion that he could not solve at the current stage, he really did not have any means to fight against the Dark Shadow duo with their ghostly movements. Skill notes. The strength of the ghosts born from the Ghost Realm is affected by the user's own attributes. Skill introduction. After this skill is used, the body will turn into a ghost body, increase movement speed by 500%, reduce physical damage by 60%, unable to cast spells in this state. Last for 2 minutes, cooldown time. 30 minutes equipped weapon. Soul Devourer Staff, special custom-made weapon, can be forged with materials and soul coins provided by Tonghua or the forging NPC. It was definitely impossible for him to help him kill people, although he was focused on cultivation and longed for the immortal cultivator's inheritance. Murphy and Little Pomelo had pointed out the location of the inheritance dam. Naturally, he would not help Frozen to kill them. Could this be considered as giving him a sweet date after giving him a slap? He was not a genius. He was simply a peerless genius. He had never seen such a terrifying existence in his life. If you continue to talk nonsense, believe it or not, I'll beat you to death. Frozen clenched his fists, looking like he was still angry. How about this? I'll give you the ability to beat them, and you help me take revenge? Frozen said after thinking about it. Qi Ming did not say anything this time. He felt that Frozen should just beat him to death. He was really being bullied. Skill introduction. The target marked by this skill will be hated by resentful ghosts. Resentful ghosts will be randomly born near the target to attack the target. Cooldown time, 30 minutes. Duration, 10 minutes. However, he hated Frozen now, so he was naturally happy to swindle some benefits from him. Netherworld 1 Smile Stage. High-level inheritance from the land of Ether. Contains the power of 3,000 ghost paths. After fumbling around for a long time, Frozen took out a black ball and tossed it to Chi Ming. Chi Ming did not think much of it when Frozen praised him as a genius. 3,000 ghost paths, gold level passive ability. Class introduction. The supreme inheritance of the Netherworld clan, the royal family of the land of Ether, contains the 3 smiles of Ether. The first smile can reverse life and death. The second smile can shock ghosts and gods. And the third smile can control the universe. At this moment, Chi Ming, whose face was bruised and swollen, was really dumbfounded. He had already told everything he knew. Why did he still get beaten up? Why did this ghost emperor in front of him not have any cultivation of a powerhouse? Suddenly, a game notification appeared. Don't worry, the Ice Snow clan has everything. I can help you find the inheritance of the ghost path. Feeling the ghost spiritual power flowing in his body, Chi Ming's heart was filled with excitement. Resentful ghost heart seal, : I can let you go, as long as you promise me one thing. Frozen suddenly smiled. After thinking about it, Chi Ming chose to use it. You've comprehended the power of the Netherworld ghost path? Frozen asked in disbelief. Frozen, who noticed the change in Chi Ming's temperament, also widened his eyes. Chi Ming nodded in amazement, but a thought suddenly came to his mind. That's it. Although it's a broken inheritance, as long as you comprehend any part of this broken inheritance, you can obtain a large number of ghost path spells. What do you think? Do you want to make this deal? In the age of Dharma ending, those who could cultivate were geniuses, and he was the best among this batch of geniuses who could cultivate. Therefore, although Chi Ming was a little embarrassed by Frozen's compliment, he still gladly accepted it. Soul Refining Seal. However, he did not expect to obtain it so easily in this game world. Tears welled up in Chi Ming's eyes. Skill Introduction. Life and Death with a Smile of the Infinite. This skill is incomplete and needs to be comprehended by oneself. Before the skill is completed, it cannot be used. What path do you cultivate? Frozen looked at Chi Ming and asked. Demon Ghost. Skill notes. If you comprehend the Ghost Goo technique of the 3,000 Ghost Path, you can also use this kind of specific spells in this state. Netherworld Broken Inheritance Profession. The crystallization of the lifetime inheritance of the Netherworld clan's 23rd Elder, Netherworld Spring. It contains a large number of Ghost Path spells. Some skills need to be comprehended and mastered by oneself. At this time, Frozen reached into the black vortex and began to fiddle with it. Say it. Using this inheritance will overwrite the original inheritance profession. Do you want to continue using it? Thank you. Chi Ming's eyes flashed with excitement. He stood up and cupped his fist at Frozen. Chapter 177. Faced with Chi Ming, who was so talented, Frozen suddenly had the urge to take him under his command. After all, it was rare to find such a talent in Bakey. Even a person like Frozen, who had extremely high standards, felt a sense of eagerness at the sight of him. Join the Ice Snow clan? Chi Ming was stunned. He could not help but look at the mission list, but there were no mission prompts. He shook his head. Why? Are you looking down on the Ice Snow clan? Frozen suddenly looked hostile and rolled up his sleeves. No. I'm a member of Bakey. Besides, I'm not a member of your clan. How can I join the Ice Snow clan? So what? You can swear with your soul that you'll be loyal to the Ice Snow clan and never betray us. Then, you'll be a member of the Ice Snow clan. Hearing this, Chi Ming's eyes widened. Swear with my soul? That's too vicious. Although this was a game, Chi Ming did not dare to take the risk. After all, he knew how mysterious this game was. What if it came true? However, Frozen was so aggressive that Chi Ming did not know how to deal with it. After thinking for a while, he said, Clan leader Frozen, how about I help you kill those two first? We'll discuss this later. Hearing this, Frozen nodded after a few seconds of silence. Then, his figure flashed and appeared behind Qi Ming. He patted his back. I've injected soul-devouring worms into your body. As long as you complete the mission, I'll help you. Otherwise, your soul will be devoured by the worms after 7 days. You'll die for sure. As Frozen's voice trailed off, Qi Ming felt a burning pain in his back. Then, a game prompt appeared. Game prompt. You've been invaded by soul-devouring worms. Your soul has been parasitized. Game prompt. Parasitization failed. Soul-devouring worms are gradually dying. Countdown to death. 10 minutes. Seeing these two game prompts, Qi Ming had a strange look on his face. Looking at the smug Frozen, he felt ashamed. How is it? Do you feel a burning pain in your soul? This pain is still mild. As long as you kill those two as soon as possible and bring their heads to me, I'll help you. Otherwise, this pain will continue to intensify. You'll have to suffer by then. Qi Ming nodded with a strange look on his face. He looked at the countdown and quickly said, Clan Leader Frozen, I won't delay any longer. I'll set off immediately and bring their heads here. All right, I'll send you out first. As he spoke, Frozen's figure flashed, and he grabbed Qi Ming's shoulder and flew into the sky with him. In the blink of an eye, they appeared outside the snow village. After landing, Qi Ming cupped his fists at Frozen. Clan Leader being goodbye, Frozen nodded proudly and flew back to the ice snow village. After Frozen left, Qi Ming decisively activated Nether Ghost Steps and ran out of the Arctic abyss. The demon-devouring insect was about to die. At that time, he was afraid that the ice seal would sense it and capture him again, so he decisively chose to quickly escape from this place. With a 500% increase in speed, Qi Ming, who was in his ghostly form, was like a phantom, shuttling through the world of ice and snow. 10 minutes passed. A game notification rang in Qi Ming's mind. Game notification. The evil devouring worm has died. At the same time, Frozen, who was standing at the top of the ice crystal cliff and admiring the ice sculptures below, suddenly trembled. Then, with a ferocious look on his face, his body suddenly floated into the air and quickly swept toward the periphery of the Arctic abyss. Just now, he sensed the death of the demon-devouring worm. He did not know how Qi Ming did it, but at this moment he must not let Qi Ming escape from the Arctic abyss. Otherwise, he could not guarantee that Qi Ming would do as he said. At this time, Qi Ming had already run to the edge of the Arctic abyss. Looking at the outside world, which was less than 100 meters away, Qi Ming sped up again. How dare you run? At this time, an angry roar came from behind. Hearing the roar behind him, Qi Ming ran even faster. Just as Qi Ming ran out of the boundary, Frozen's figure appeared at the same time. Looking at Qi Ming, who was still dashing forward, Frozen suddenly stopped. Looking at the blue ice crystal line that isolated the Arctic abyss from the outside world, Frozen's expression was extremely ugly. He subconsciously wanted to step over it, but he quickly retracted his leg halfway. As long as he was given a few more seconds, Frozen believed that he could catch Qi Ming and bring him back. However, he knew the price of leaving the Arctic abyss. Last time, that person only gave him a warning to break his leg. This time, if he really dared to go out, it would not just be a broken leg. Based on his understanding of North Sea, he would really be killed. Ah! Frozen was so angry at this moment that he could not help but shout. As he shouted, sharp ice spikes rose from the ground around him, turning the area into an ice spike prison. Hearing the shout behind him, Qi Ming could not help but turn his head to look. He found that Frozen was only glaring at him from afar, but did not chase after him. This puzzled Qi Ming. However, he still stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at them curiously. Come back here. Looking at Qi Ming, Frozen shouted angrily again. You can't get out? Qi Ming asked curiously. Are you coming in or not? Frozen did not answer, but shouted again. I'm not coming in. Knowing that Frozen could not get out, Qi Ming immediately calmed down and answered with a smile. You ungrateful fellow. I was the one who gave you this inheritance. Frozen's eyes were filled with hatred. You beat me up, so I took a part of your inheritance. Let's call it even. Moreover, the two people you mentioned were kind to me. How can I repay kindness with enmity? Qi Ming said with a solemn expression. Hearing this, Frozen felt like vomiting blood. After all, they were in cahoots. They came in one by one to cheat him of his inheritance. This was too shameless. Are you coming in or not? I'm not coming in. Believe it or not, I'll come out and beat you to death. I don't believe it. All right, if that's the case, I'll capture you now. Frozen, who was mad, lifted his foot and stepped out of the boundary. However, before his foot touched the ground, he quickly withdrew it. Then, he quickly looked around twice, as if to check if anyone was there. After confirming that there was no one, he lifted his foot again and quickly withdrew it. Qi Ming was speechless. Frozen's behavior reminded Qi Ming of a picture posted by the players on the forum. Testing the edge of death. JPG Frozen's current appearance was so similar to the one in the picture. After testing 5 or 6 times, Frozen gritted his teeth and suddenly crossed the boundary, rushing toward Qi Ming. Qi Ming was shocked and quickly turned around to run. Behind him, Frozen's smile gradually turned ferocious. Boom! With a loud noise, Frozen's figure was smashed back into the Arctic abyss at a speed 3 times faster than before. Chapter 178. With a loud bang, Frozen, who was already close to Qi Ming, was thrown back to the border of the Arctic abyss at an even faster speed. Although he heard the loud noise coming from behind him, Qi Ming did not dare to look back. He ran faster and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Feeling the pain in his chest, Frozen's face was filled with horror because he knew that his boss was here. At this time, a figure appeared above the pothole. He smiled and reached out his hand. Oh, why did you fall? Come, let me help you up. My king, I can get up by myself. Frozen quickly climbed out of the pothole. My king, why do you have time to wander around here? Well, I have some matters to attend to in my clan. I need to go back and settle them. Frozen turned around and was about to leave. However, as soon as his body floated in the air, he was kicked back to the ground. Why are you in such a hurry to go back? Let's go. I'll take you out for a walk. Dark North grabbed Frozen's hand and dragged him to the border. My king, I'm not going, I don't want to go out. Frozen shouted desperately. At this time, Frozen had completely lost his previous arrogant attitude. He was more like a child who was about to be punished. Your test just now was not bad. Why don't you show it to me again? Looking at Frozen, the white-haired old man grinned. My king, I won't dare to do it again. I know I'm wrong. Frozen lay on the ground, feeling wronged like a child. If you dare to test me again, I'll chop off whichever foot you stretch out. At this time, the white-haired old man glared at him. His aura condensed into a white tiger behind him. Frozen was so scared that he shrank his feet. My king, I know I'm wrong. Please don't hit me. Frozen seemed to know what was going to happen next. He held his head and begged for mercy again. However, the white-haired old man did not make a move. He turned around and looked at the Arctic abyss that was covered in snow. Then, he looked at Frozen again. Frozen, what's your biggest dream in this life? Hearing this, Frozen slowly put down his hands, his face full of confusion. I want to live a peaceful life. After thinking about it, Frozen answered. Smack. Hearing this, Old Bai kicked Frozen in the butt. Even a pig can see your ambition. You still want to hide it from me? Isn't it just to regain control of Beiki and become the king of Beiki? The white-haired old man's words scared Frozen. He quickly lowered his head and shouted, Your Majesty, I've never wanted to be the king of Beiki. I'm absolutely loyal to you. Don't listen to other people's nonsense. All right, don't give me that. I can understand your desire to be the king of Beiki because I had the same thought as you back then. When Frozen heard this, he slowly raised his head. Just now, he thought that Dark North wanted to have a showdown with him and kill him in the end, but it did not seem to be the case. My king, what do you mean? Frozen asked, shrinking his head. It's good to have big dreams. Work hard, and maybe one day you'll be one. The white-haired old man sighed, patted Frozen on the shoulder, and then turned to leave. Looking at the white-haired old man's back, Frozen was puzzled. He did not know what this sentence meant. At this moment, the white-haired old man stopped in his tracks. Frozen was so scared that he shrank his body again. The white-haired old man did not turn around. He stood still and said, "Once, my biggest dream was to take charge of Bakey and become the supreme master of the land of Bakey. In order to achieve this goal, I worked hard and struggled step by step. I tried my best to achieve this goal. Finally, it took me 100,000 years to become the king of Bakey. At that time, I was very excited and proud. But after I became the king of Bakey, I suddenly became very confused. I was so confused that I cried because I didn't know where to go next. I didn't know where to go next. I didn't know where the next goal in life could make me excited, make me worry, and make me feel that I could fight for it." At this point, the white-haired old man's figure slowly faded. It's good to have a dream, because the meaning of a dream is not only to be realized, but the process of realizing the dream is the meaning of your pursuit. Frozen, I'm giving you this opportunity to become stronger. When you are strong enough to defeat me, you will be the king of Bakey. After the white-haired old man left, Frozen was in a daze and fell into deep thought. Just as the white-haired old man said, although he swore loyalty to him, he had never truly surrendered to him, because his dream was to surpass him and become the supreme master of the land of Bakey. But this time, the white-haired old man's life realization made Frozen feel a little confused. If I become the king of Bakey, what is my next goal? Frozen fell into deep thought. Half a day later, Frozen, who was covered in snow, suddenly emerged from the snow. His expression revealed a sense of determination. "No matter what the future holds, I will surpass you first. I am the future king of Bakey. Are you sure you don't want to start a Valentine's Day event?" Bailey asked softly as she looked at the calendar. "Should I?" Luwu looked very surprised. But other games seem to have started Valentine's Day events for players to spend money. Bailey suggested again in a low voice. "I don't think so. I don't want to see so many players showing off their love. I don't want to see it." But many players on the forum are asking why we don't have a Valentine's Day event. Bailey continued to instigate. "Where is it? I'm going to delete it." Lu Wu's expression turned serious. Upon hearing this, Bailey clicked on the forum on her computer and pointed at it. Shueli_the_strongest. What about the Valentine's Day event? What about a mission that could only be completed by a couple? Why can't you show us your love? Invincible_loneliness. Why aren't there any Valentine's Day welfare activities? There are obviously activities for other holidays. What's going on? Crayon_Shinchan. I seriously suspect that the developers of this game are single dogs. That's why they're forcefully preventing us from activating the event benefits. Bad review. Watermelon_Turo. Originally, I was prepared to hide in a corner and watch you guys show off your affection in the game, but it seems like there's no Valentine's Day event today. My wife is the prettiest in the whole world. QVQ doesn't let me show off my love. I'm so angry. My husband is the most handsome in the whole world. QVQ, yeah, it's a Valentine's Day exclusive fashion, flowers, and so on. Assassin's Creed. You're just playing a game, and you're trying to show off your affection. You heartless heretics must be burned to death. Looking at the players' discussions in the forum, Bailey looked at Luwu again. Are we really not going to start it? Luwu nodded calmly and deleted a few posts that were showing off their love. He then added a paragraph to them. The forum system malfunctioned. It was an accident that the posts disappeared for no reason. Maintenance is in progress. Chapter 179. After learning about Xian Ku's resurrection method, Sangshu was full of fighting spirit. He could not wait to set off to the land of Sangshu and fight. You can stay at my house for the next few days and familiarize yourself with the world of the living. You'll be in charge of the European server once it's open. Remember, focus on improving the gameplay in the early stages. You can think about how to earn soul coins when the number of players increases. Sangshu, reconstruct, Sangshu. Do you want to resurrect her? Over the phone, Wu Guai told him that the foreign server of Battle Online could be launched at any time. Sangshu was enraged when he heard this, but his expression turned gloomy and he could not help but sigh. What a pity. Since you don't want to live anymore, we're still very reasonable. Let's send you to reincarnation. They're not really dead. I can keep them in the artifact and continue to work for me. Sangshu quickly explained. As a player of Battle Online, Wu Gui naturally asked Lu Wu if the players of the European server would be together with the players of the local server. Bailey could not help but cover her face as she looked at Sangshu, who was blinded by love and was still grateful even after being tricked. A young boy who looked about 8 or 9 years old was curled up naked on the ground with his eyes closed. Smack! Lu Wu jumped up and slapped the back of his head. Sangshu's childish face looked a little sad when he heard this. A golden ball of light slowly appeared in his mind and spread out as his consciousness touched it. Information about the artifact suddenly rushed into his mind. Lu Wu immediately scanned the body of the Shota version of Sangshu with the artifact. While speaking, Bailey suddenly hugged the enlarged cotton candy and pulled it down from the air. The devouring of soul coins was forcibly interrupted at this moment. Sangshu's face turned pale when he heard this. The memory of the helpless heiress suddenly appeared in his mind. "What do you want to do to give her to me?" Sangshu pleaded, his previous indifference completely gone. Sangshu was stunned when he heard this. He had already understood part of the artifact's abilities and the power of digitization, so he could completely understand Lu Wu's words. "Little Li, can you brainwash this guy? He's too stubborn. Tonghua is much easier to control." Lu Wu looked helpless. Sangshu was sure that this was the person he loved the most when he sensed the aura from the ball of light at such a close distance. While they were waiting, the viscous black liquid inside the light ball began to spread and gradually covered the interior of the light ball. Bailey climbed down from the light ball and stood beside Lu Wu, waiting with him. At this stage, he planned to launch the European server first. When a number of players had stabilized, he would rely on the influence of the European server and the local server to launch the Asian server, the American server, and other servers. He wanted to ask Lu Wu if he had made the necessary arrangements. Character condition. The reshaping process was forcibly interrupted. His strength has only recovered to the early stage of the Ghost King. Abilities and spells have not changed. Lu Wu jumped down from Sangshu's shoulder and shook his head. "I have no other choice." Bailey and Lu Wu's expressions did not change when they heard what Sangshu said. Bailey continued to knead the cotton candy, as if she did not hear what Sangshu said. Sangshu rubbed the back of his head, looking a little confused. He looked down at his naked body, and his eyes widened. Lu Wu was the one who came up with the idea of the 7 servers. "Who needs your help? I'm still alive. The war of the fairy and the underworld is inevitable. You guys have made a huge mistake. She's resurrected and is in the process of incubation. Let's wait for a while." Bailey sat cross-legged on the light ball and bounced along with it. Otherwise, she was afraid that Sangshu would be too eager for soul coins and exploit the players too much, turning the game into a pay-to-win game. "Okay, you'll be the agent of the land of Sangshu in the future, especially when it comes to issuing quests. To be honest, I spent 150 million soul coins to resurrect you. Although I don't need as much as you to resurrect her, I'll need at least 80 million. So, work hard to earn soul coins and resurrect your beloved as soon as possible. I want you to dominate Sangshu again and become His Excellency Sangshu." Sangshu quickly calmed down and sank his consciousness into his sea of consciousness. After meeting Xianku, Sangshu was now completely convinced. He even changed the way he addressed himself. After all, from his point of view, the people who were paying attention to this matter were almost at the level of the great emperor. To him, it was impossible to deceive everyone. About half an hour later, there was some movement inside the black light ball. The outer layer of the light ball gradually melted and revealed the interior. Bailey nodded. With a thought, a large amount of soul power stored in the artifact space gathered and flowed into the white light ball. Love really makes people stupid. Lu Wu could not help but remind Sangshu when he saw the excitement on his face. Since the European server was about to open, Lu Wu naturally could not be distressed about the soul coins anymore. He immediately called Bailey, who was having her meal, and discussed with her the deployment plan of the players in the land at Sangshu and the resurrection of Sangshu. "Thank you." Sangshu was grateful. "She's gone. I have no attachment to this world anymore. Moreover, if you want me to deal with my former subordinates, I won't agree even if I have to die again." At this moment, Lu Wu was looking at the digitized soul coin storage panel with a distressed expression. Looking at the rapidly decreasing amount of soul coins, Lu Wu felt like his body was being hollowed out. Don't worry, those guys in the world of immortals think you're dead because they saw your soul vanish with their own eyes, Bailey said with her arms akimbo, looking very proud. That's too cruel. Isn't it inappropriate? Your subordinate understands. Bailey shook her head. Oh no, Sangshu's strength is far stronger than we thought. I don't think he could be resurrected without 50 million soul coins. Bailey looked at Mian in surprise. Why did I become smaller? A moment later, Wu, let's continue sending this guy to reincarnation. Sai, what a pity. It was supposed to be a great opportunity, and it could have fulfilled your 100 lifetimes of love, Bailey said with a disappointed look on her face. Kid, who asked you to kill your former subordinates? You know that the artifact has the ability to digitize them. As long as their souls are not destroyed, they can still live well after we digitize them, right? Maybe it's because of insufficient soul power replenishment. This is His Excellency Sangshu. I can't bear to see you become enemies with your former subordinates. Why don't we just let it go? Lu Wu said as if he couldn't bear to see that scene. Hey, I'm not an unreasonable person. Originally, you were supposed to hand over the soul coins you earned to us. After all, this is the price we have to pay for resurrecting you. However, I won't take the first 80 million soul coins you earn from the land of Sangshu. When you have enough, you can use the soul coins to resurrect Xian Ku. However, I want to make it clear to you that after this 80 million soul coins, all the soul coins you earn will be taken by me. You have to understand this. That's impossible. I'll still die if I go back. Those bastards in the world of immortals will never let me go. After some thought, Sangshu shook his head. Who are you? Didn't my soul vanish? The little Sangshu boy asked with a puzzled look. You want me to become enemies with my former subordinates? Sangshu, will never let you have your way. Sangshu looked stubborn, as if he would rather die than submit. What a lovey-dovey show. Lu Wu waved his hand in disdain and said, seeing that Sangshu had compromised, Lu Wu smiled and gave Bailey a look. Upon seeing this, Bailey threw the light orb in her hand to Sangshu. Who are you? Where's this place? Sangshu, who came back to his senses, raised his head and asked Lu Wu while covering his lower body with his hands. Little Sangshu, we're the ones who saved your soul from vanishing. How does it feel to be resurrected? Lu Wu asked with a smile. Is this Ku'er? Sangshu's body was trembling as he walked towards Bailey. He wanted to reach out and touch her, but she dodged his touch with a sidestep. Looking at Sangshu's attributes, Lu Wu couldn't help but cover his face. Almost 20 million soul coins in exchange for a Ghost King beginner. After all, he didn't have to spend a single cent to subdue Tonghua and Shao Tian. In his opinion, Lu Wu's actions were too kind. Not only did he resurrect him, but he also resurrected Xian Ku so that they could reunite. Sangshu looked doubtful, as if he didn't believe it at all. I have to say, you're a genius, but you're very stupid in some aspects. Do you think it's so easy to go against the natural order? Even we, who have artifacts, wouldn't dare to be as brazen as you. Lu Wu was speechless. At this moment, Bailey waved her hand, and a white light orb appeared in her hand. It kept changing its shape as she rubbed it. No, I agree. Sangshu looked at the cotton candy and pleaded sincerely. Looking at Sangshu, who had lost his fighting spirit, Lu Wu sighed inwardly. He couldn't help but beat his chest when he thought of the huge amount of soul coins needed to restore Sangshu. Hearing this, Lu Wu suddenly jumped up and slapped the back of Sangshu's head. After knowing that it was a big map outside of Beiki, Wu Gui asked about the new server out of curiosity. After understanding the situation, he held a deployment meeting according to Lu Wu's instructions and prepared to start the promotion of Battle Online's European server. Receiving the light orb in a panic, Sangshu's face was full of love as he felt the aura on it. Are you sure? Bailey asked again. How is it? Has it been resurrected? Lu Wu asked anxiously. He planned to set the world's servers into 7 main servers, namely the local server, the European server, the Asian server, the American server, North America, the Australian server, Oceania, the African server, Africa, and the Brazilian server, South America. However, he didn't expect Wu Guai to finish the deployment so quickly. Lu Wu glanced at it. It's quite small indeed. In less than half an hour, the cotton candy had already devoured half of the soul coins. However, the speed of devouring did not slow down. Instead, it was getting faster and faster. On this day, Lu Wu was lying on the sofa cultivating when he suddenly received a call from Wu Guai. At this moment, Sangshu's body trembled and he slowly opened his eyes. Character details. The former lord of the land of Sangshu. He plotted for 10,000 years and defied the natural order to prolong the life of his lover. However, his love for 100 generations was ultimately severed after he failed to defy the natural order. Unable to redeem himself, he willingly dispersed his soul. Bailey smiled when she heard this. Sangshu raised his head with a complicated expression. Kid, I'm the boss here. I'll beat you to death if you call yourself the king again. At this moment, the giant light ball that had its devouring interrupted was bouncing on the ground. Bailey was lying on top of it with a curious look on her face, bouncing along with the light ball. I'm not asking you to be His Excellency Sangshu. I'm asking you to help me manage a batch of new forces that are about to emerge in the land of Sangshu. You'll lead them to start from scratch and dominate the entire land of Sangshu again. Lu Wu explained, that's even more impossible. Even the great emperor can't restore his soul after dispersing it. Don't try to deceive me anymore. Sangshu put on a stubborn face, as if he wouldn't believe anything Bailey said. Sangshu was dumbfounded as he read through the information regarding the artifact and the players. He kept reading the information. Are you sure? Bailey suddenly asked with a smile. How is that possible? How did you guys do it? The white light ball emitted a gentle light as it was filled with soul power. A small black ball was rotating and shrinking inside as if it was nurturing life. Upon hearing this, Lu Wu leaped on its Sangshu's shoulder and pressed his claw on Sangshu's head. Sangshu, I've digitized you when I reconstructed you. Go through the information in your mind and you'll understand. He propped himself up with his hands, his face still filled with doubt. However, he soon realized that Lu Wu and Bailey were looking at him with disdain. Do I need you to believe me? I'm not discussing it with you. We've saved you, so we're boss. Just listen to us from now on. Bailey was stunned when she heard this. She recalled Sangshu's purpose of defying the heavens and suddenly understood Sangshu's feelings. Did you capture the wrong person? Lu Wu looked at Bailey suspiciously. Stop rubbing. Sangshu's heart ached when he saw Bailey pulling and rubbing him. Then what should we do? Lu Wu was stunned. His heart was bleeding as he looked at the inventory that was now less than 10 million. Yes, Sangshu said without hesitation. There's no other way. We can only give up on recovering completely and recover part of first. I agree. Give Kuer back to me. This is your chance to be reborn. Seize it. You still have a chance to make a comeback. Currently, Lu Wu had more than 20 million soul coins on him. Resurrecting Sangshu was not a problem. The biggest problem now was how to arrange the background for the players to appear in the land of Sangshu. However, Lu Wu was somewhat comforted when he thought that he was about to have a super powerful person as a subordinate. Bailey took out the white cotton candy that she had been using as a cushion and rubbed it reluctantly. Lu Wu immediately nodded in agreement. However, he hoped that Wu Gui would be the first to start promoting the game. As for the European server, he would settle it within 10 days. Bailey indicated that she would make a decision after resurrecting Sangshu. I'm tired and I don't want to fight anymore. However, I hope that you will spare my subordinates when you conquered Sangshu. If you have no choice but to kill them, please keep them in your artifact and make them part of your force. Looking at the remaining 3 million soul coins, Lu Wu's heart ached. She had such a big appetite. Bailey nodded solemnly. What's so cruel about it? In the underworld, the winner takes it all. The law of survival that hasn't changed for billions of years is the truth. You are indeed dead and your soul is gone. The current you is restored with a part of your soul. Do you understand now? Bailey explained again. Let's begin. Lu Wu could not help but remind her. No. Bailey continued to rub it, having fun. What's the purpose of resurrecting me? Sangshu seemed to have thought of something and quickly asked. I'm tired. I don't want to fight anymore. Sangshu continued to shake his head, looking as if he had lost all interest in the world. Lu Wu had nothing to hide about this, so he told Wu Gui the truth. The players of the European server would be in the same plane as the players of the local server, but it would not be Beiki. Instead, it would be the land of Sangshu, which was north of Beiki, past the North Rocks. Were you the ones who stopped my heaven-defying plan? Then, the two figures appeared in the artifact space. Such a strong desire to live. Sangshu's expression changed as he looked at the white ball of light and felt the familiar aura from it. However, Lu Wu's expression gradually became dull when he saw the interior of the space. All right. Sangshu's expression was firm. His heart was filled with desire for soul coins. Chapter 180. After the European server entered the deployment stage, Lu Wu opened up a new page in the forum. The players who entered the forum were surprised to find that there was a switchable page next to their own forum with the word European written on it. Suddenly, a large number of local players flooded in. Crayon_Shinchan. I'm the first person to post on the European server. I'm a master here from now on. Laughing emoji, Shuali_the_strongest. Look, everyone. This is the land we're going to invade in the future. Laughing emoji, invincible_loneliness. I wonder if they're in Beiki. I'm looking forward to it. Even if they're not in Beiki, as long as we're in the same world, we'll definitely conquer them. Laughing emoji, Peppa_Boar. Let's take this opportunity to develop quickly and slaughter them as soon as possible. Hurry. Watermelon_Taro. I hope they're in Beiki. If that's the case, a low-level player like me will have a chance to show off. Then, I can confidently shout, I want to fight 10 of them. While the players were discussing in the forum, Bailey was making a translation tool. After all, the land of Sangshu and Beiki were only separated by the North Rocks at this stage. Once the Rock Ghost King fell, there would definitely be communication between the two regions. Due to the language barrier, it was necessary to have a real-time translation software. Not only in the game, but also in the forum, Bailey had also set up a real-time translation function. This way, when the local players browsed the European server's forum, they would see Chinese. Similarly, when a European server's players browsed the local server's forum, they would also see their own language. This kind of unhindered communication could effectively improve the overall development of the players, so Lu Wu was not careless at all. As for the friction between the players in the big regions, Lu Wu did not think that it was inappropriate. After all, wherever there were people, there would be conflicts. The competition between players was also a source of motivation for them to become stronger. While Bailey was busy, the young Sangshu was staring at the computer screen, moving the mouse clumsily and absorbing modern knowledge from the internet. Didn't you understand the world of the living when you were fighting against the heavens? Lu Wu looked up at Sangshu and could not help but ask. No, although the Yin talisman can travel between the Yin and Yang, it can't be used casually. If you use it too much, you'll be discovered by the bastard from the world of immortals. They'll use the Treaty of the Three Realms as an excuse to harass you. A trace of anger flashed across Sangshu's face. By the way, do you still have your Yin talisman? Bailey, who was moving her fingers in the air to control the artifact, remotely asked. No, but I can use summon it if you want, Sangshu said. I need. Oh. Sangshu nodded and made a grabbing motion in the air. A black rune fragment slowly appeared in his hand and fell into his grasp. Sangshu looked at the Yin talisman in his hand and threw it to Bailey without hesitation. She continued to work after taking it. Wu, of her. Why do you still have Yin talismans after you're dead? Lu Wu asked curiously. Every lord of a large region would be bestowed with an Yin talisman by the great emperor. This talisman is bound to my soul, and no one else can use it except me. This talisman is unique to me, so I can naturally summon it back. Sangshu explained, his eyes still staring at the screen. Dragon of the King. What Wu of Lu of stupid. Isn't the reason why the artifact has the ability to travel through Beiki because of your Yin talisman? Our destination this time is Tsangshu, so naturally, we need his talisman. Although I can also make talismans, it's too complicated and I can't do it in a short time. Isn't this ready-made? It'll save us a lot of trouble. Lu Wu nodded his head and turned to Tsangshu again. Tsangshu, how powerful were you back then? Not bad. Ghost Emperor peak. Lu Wu was speechless. Have you ever seen someone named Lu Yin? Lu Wu's heart was filled with curiosity when he thought of his ancestor. Lu Yin? His Excellency of Beiki? Tsangshu turned around in shock. Yes. Yes, I have. This brat thinks that he's the ruler of Beiki. How dare he challenge me in the land of Tsangshu, claiming that he wants to unify the underworld. In the end, I beat him up so badly that he had to go back with his tail between his legs. Tsangshu could not help but smile as he recalled the past. However, Tsangshu noticed that something was wrong with Lu Wu's expression. Then he saw Lu Wu flashing his claws and pouncing toward him. Tsangshu did not dare to resist Lu Wu's attack. He could only lower his head and hug Xian Ke's soul ball, looking dumbfounded. After avenging his ancestor, Lu Wu let out a sigh of relief. He sat on the computer desk and asked again, "Then, do you still know the first king of Beiki?" Can I say that I don't?" Tsangshu felt a little tired. How could he get beaten up just by answering a question? Was there any justice in this world? What was worse was that he did not dare to resist, even though he was stronger than him. Tsangshu felt a little better after looking at Xian Ke in his arms. "Speak." Lu Wu glared at him. At this stage, he was getting more and more curious about the first king of Beiki. Although the king of Beiki was long gone, Lu Wu had noticed the existence of this person from the players' activities in Beiki. This old man is really scary. I even suspect that he has broken through to the godly state. All that's left is for the great emperor to light up the divine fire and add his name to the underworld god list. What do you mean? He's not dead? Lu Wu was stunned. I guess he's still alive. In this world of the underworld, I don't think anyone can control him except the gods. He's that strong. Do you know how terrifying the land of Beiki was hundreds of thousands of years ago? Every clan was like a lunatic, and each clan had a ghost emperor powerhouse. All of them wanted to compete for the position of king of Beiki in the land of Beiki. Among them, the most terrifying was the Ice Snow clan, the descendants of the gods of Beiki. Guess what happened in the end? All of these clans failed in the competition and were brutally suppressed by a guy named North Sea. In the end, in order to preserve their clans, all of these clans swore allegiance to him without exception. Don't you think he's powerful? The Ice Snow clan? Lu Wu suddenly thought of the two inherited classes that appeared recently. They seem to be related to the Ice Snow clan. Since the leader of the Ice Snow clan has reached the Ghost Emperor realm, and he's still alive, why doesn't he come out to fight for the throne? The first king of Beiki is no longer around. How would I know? Maybe he's tired and wants to live in seclusion. Tsangshu was speechless. Upon hearing this, Lu Wu stroked his cat Whiskers, and a thoughtful look appeared on his face. The Ice Snow clan is still around, but they live in seclusion. There are also the ghost soldiers hidden in the evil Nightmare City, and the Earth-Breaking clan that was recently discovered by the players in the Barren Grassland. These seem to be the great clans of ancient Beiki, but why are they living in seclusion now? Is there a secret behind this? Are there other clans that live in seclusion in Beiki? Thinking of this, Lu Wu fell into deep thought. Chapter 181. After Bailey fixed the translation function of the game and the forum, the three of them began to study the initial class interface for the new players in the European server. Unlike the players in the local server, Lu Wu planned to open up three new development paths. They were the Barbarian, the Necromancer, and the Knight. The changes to the initial classes this time were not only in terms of names, but also in the distribution of attributes after leveling up. At this moment, there were two blueprints on the table in front of the sofa. One was the initial class development blueprint for the players in the local server, and the other was the new class development blueprint for the players in the European server. Both blueprints were also marked with the corresponding bonus abilities of the attributes. Strength, Strength and physique determines the power of physical attacks and weight-bearing capacity endurance. Strength and physique determines the ability to withstand attacks and endurance. Running, continuous physical exertion, and the speed of physical recovery affects the amount of health points. Agility, strength and physique determines the speed of movement and attack, affects the efficiency of evasion. Perception, strength and spirit determines the ability to observe. A strong perception can detect the slight changes in the surroundings, effectively improves the detection of weaknesses. Divine sense, strength and spirit affects the fluency of casting spells and the effects of spells triggered after casting spells. Slightly affects the ability to control. Manipulation, strength and spirit affects the ability of summoning classes to control their summoned creatures. The stronger the attribute, the more creatures they can control. Willpower, special attribute, cannot be changed by soul power elemental resistance. Special attribute, cannot be changed by soul power. These 6 attributes were the strengthening methods that Bailey set for the players. Every time the players killed monsters and obtained soul power, they would be strengthened according to the corresponding attribute ratio set by each class. One of the blueprints on the table clearly marked the growth ratio of different classes at this stage. Berserker, initial class 50% of the soul power obtained from killing monsters, minus the commission, will be used to strengthen strength, 40% will be used to strengthen endurance, and 10% will be used to strengthen agility. Assassin, initial class 48% of the soul power obtained from killing monsters will be used to strengthen strength, 28% will be used to strengthen agility, 13% will be used to strengthen perception, and 11% will be used to strengthen endurance. Sorcerer, initial class 75% of the soul power obtained from killing monsters will be used to strengthen divine sense, 17% will be used to strengthen perception, and 8% will be used to strengthen endurance. At this moment, the 3 of them were discussing how to determine the distribution of the 6 attributes for the 3 classes on the other blueprint. They wanted to make it completely different from the class interface of the local server. At this stage, Lu Wu's suggestion was to westernize the professions. Therefore, apart from changing the names of barbarians, necromancers, and knights, the distribution of their attributes should also be completely different. After that, Bailey gave him a new plan for soul power distribution and growth. Among them, the plan set by the barbarians was to completely take the berserk path, and the distribution of soul power was extremely extreme. Barbarian, initial class used 72% of the soul power obtained from killing monsters to strengthen strength, 14% to strengthen endurance, and 14% to strengthen agility. Among them, the necromancer's setting was an enhancement method that focused on controlling living creatures. It was also the first summoner's interface in Battle Online. Necromancer, initial class 50% of the soul power obtained from killing monsters is used to strengthen control, 30% to strengthen spirit, 10% to strengthen perception, 10% to strengthen endurance. The last night's strengthening method was even more extreme. It was designed for players who purely wanted to be tanky. Knight, beginner class 76% of the soul power obtained from killing monsters is used to strengthen endurance, 14% to strengthen strength, 5% to strengthen agility, and 5% to strengthen perception. Completely different soul power distribution and growth methods formed 3 new beginner professions. Now, the 3 of them were discussing whether there was a need to modify the distribution templates of the 3 professions. The growth method is not bad, but I don't like the names of the professions. In my opinion, they should be named Fighting Soldier, Barbarian, Psychic, Necromancer, and Bronzebones Knight. This is more in line with the style of the land of Sangshu. Sangshu expressed his opinion. Bailey heard him and looked at Lu Wu. Wu, what do you think? Lu Wu stroked his cat whiskers and nodded. I think it's good. I think it's not bad. Westernizing can increase their sense of immersion. I agree. 2 votes for, 1 against, pass. Bailey waved her hand. Sangshu was suddenly depressed. He wanted to say something, but was hesitant, but he did not dare to. Next, we'll discuss the skills that these professions need to learn after they grow. Do you have any suggestions? Bailey propped herself up with her small hand and asked the 2 of them. I think the skill pavilion is stored in the artifact space anyway, so it can be used everywhere. We just need to filter out the skills that are not suitable for these three professions. Lu Wu raised his cat paw and made a suggestion. If we want to westernize the skills, I have a lot of collections in my library. However, I'm not sure about the current situation of His Excellency's palace. If it has been occupied, then we can attack His Excellency's palace first and plunder its resources. Just like the Mansion of the Dead, we could be the first development site. Good idea. Bailey slammed the table and looked like she agreed with him. No, Songshu is different from the Mansion of the Dead. The Mansion of the Dead was burned down, and there are no valuable resources left, which is why the players can settle down. However, there are so many resources in His Excellency's palace, so it must be occupied by powerful people. It's not easy to take them, so we need to move to a remote place where no one will pay attention to. Then one vote against 2 votes for, let's go with Wu's suggestion. Bailey thought for a while and announced the result of the discussion again. Songshu was speechless. Damn it, don't I have the right to vote? Why doesn't it matter how many people there are? Songshu was even more depressed when he thought about it. By the way, Songshu, in your region, which region do you think has the weakest forces and is suitable for the players to start off? Lu Wu turned to Songshu. Actually, Songshu is quite united. If there is an invasion, the entire region will gather together and destroy the foreign forces, Songshu said after thinking for a while. Lu Wu was speechless. So ruthless. How are the players going to survive then? Lu Wu's eyes widened. But it's not certain. There have always been conflicts between the Ghost Kings and Ghost Generals under me. In the past, they didn't dare to turn against each other because of me. But now that I'm dead, they might have already started a war. After all, everyone wants to be the new His Excellency. Lu Wu nodded. This is a big problem. In the next few days, you better change your identity and go to the land of Songshu to see what's going on. If a war has already broken out, that would be the best. Then, you can choose a remote location that is not affected as the player's initial birthplace. All right, Songshu agreed without hesitation. In fact, he wanted to start the game even more than Lu Wu so that he could revive his beloved as soon as possible. By the way, what's my identity to the players? Songshu could not help but ask. Change your name, whatever you want. As long as it's not Songshu, I'll make up a tragic background for you. For example, the heir of His Excellency Songshu, or the former ruler of the land of Songshu who was betrayed by his subordinates. In short, the goal is to guide the players to take revenge and reclaim the land of Songshu. Songshu was speechless. Although Songshu wanted to give some advice to Lu Wu's suggestion, he knew that it would be useless. So, he sighed, then I'll be called Xian Su. As for the background, I'll leave it to you. No problem. Then, the third question is about the player's equipment panel, Bailey continued. After glancing at the two, Bailey said again, Actually, you can leave this to me. You just need to modify the appearance of the equipment to match the Western aesthetic. There's no need to change the attributes of the equipment at all. Just copy the template, and it'll be like putting on a new layer of clothing. Lu Wu and Songshu had no opinion on this and agreed. The fourth topic is about the formulation of the main quest. Songshu, you have a better understanding of the land of Songshu. You tell us, we'll think about the plot development of the main quest and the special quest. The fifth topic, the setting of the NPCs. The sixth topic, the three of them continued their heated discussion about the new setting of the European server. Chapter 182. He clearly remembered that just a few hours before Reinhardt left, he was still mumbling about how he must get something good in the next dungeon. Why did he change so much all of a sudden? Why do you still want to play that lousy game? I told you, that lousy game is going to close down. Now, there's a huge opportunity in front of us. This is a chance for us to make a comeback. Do you understand? Reinhardt turned his head and looked at McCrae with a look of exasperation. Under the dim streetlight, a young man lay motionless on the ground. There was a coin-sized wound on the back of his head, and some unclotted blood remained on the ground. He subconsciously reached out to touch it and found that his hand was covered in blood. All right, Mr. Reinhardt. You live on Flying Bird Street. Are you sure you want to drive here? This speculation made Reinhardt panic. He He could not figure out if all this was a prank or if it really happened. Looking at his reluctant best friend, Reinhardt was speechless. However, he could understand his best friend's feelings at the moment. Ding, medical treatment completed. The medical fee is 20,000 yuan. Do you need me to send you home, Mr. Reinhardt? At this moment, the voice of the artificial intelligence sounded. The Battle Online European server is launched today. If you want to experience the 100% authentic game, the Battle Online European server was launched today. Hello, Reinhardt. Originally, he would have been distressed by the 20,000 yuan medical fee for a long time. However, he felt that everything was not a problem now, as long as he seized the opportunity of the Battle Online server's launch in advance. Not to mention 20,000 yuan, even 2 million yuan, or even 20 million yuan would not be a problem. It's me. I have something urgent to tell you now. Listen carefully. At this moment, he realized that he had thrown away the jacket he was wearing. Why was he wearing it again? Listen to me. I know you're very excited now. I can see that, but you really need to rest, McCrae advised with a solemn face. Reinhardt's solemn tone seemed to have shocked the person on the other end of the phone. There was a rustling sound, followed by another voice on the other end of the phone. These two posts were the key to his rise. In this life, I will never let those original players bully me again. From now on, I am the main character of this world. Even if you start the game 3 months earlier, I will definitely surpass you. However, it was different this time. Now that he had traveled to another world, his mind was filled with all kinds of game knowledge from the past 2 years of Battle Online's operation, as well as the strategies for many quests. Didn't that mean that he also had the chance to become an all-powerful character? The familiar street, the skateboard in the grass not far away, and the bloodstains under the streetlights. Looking at the time on his phone, Reinhardt hurriedly stood up and began to look around. Cut out. The car door was unlocked. Reinhardt, who couldn't figure it out, panicked. He quickly turned on his phone screen to call the police. Where am I? Say it, I'm listening. I heard it very clearly. You knock your head. This is not a small matter. The voice on the other end of the phone also sounded very serious. Reinhardt had tears in his eyes when he saw the familiar interface of the official website. Battle Online, today, is the opening day of the server. It's the most important early stage. At this moment, his wound had yet to heal. After running up 5 floors in a row, Reinhardt did not feel tired at all. Instead, he was full of energy. February 16th, 2319, Reinhardt suddenly felt that something was wrong. He was clearly discussing with his guild friends on how to launch a counterattack against Bakey. Why was he lying on the street, all of a sudden? In McRae's opinion, all of this must have been caused by a broken head. Moreover, as long as he was strong enough, he believed that many big guilds would offer him a high salary to join them. At this moment, Reinhardt was very grateful to the 2 guys who shared the process of obtaining the inheritance. Thinking of this, Reinhardt quickly put his hand into his pocket to see if he was missing anything. Get rich? Where to get rich? McCrae looked very confused. One was a dark knight, and the other was a demon hunter. Both of these professions were extremely powerful. In the later stages of the game, they even showed their brilliance in several cross-server competitions that caught the world's attention. Oh my God, I really traveled to another world? After he entered the back seat, a few scanning lights were cast toward him. Reinhardt's eyes were shining with excitement. He took a few steps forward and grabbed McRae's shoulder. At this moment, the young man opened his eyes. He subconsciously wanted to prop himself up, but he immediately felt a pain at the back of his head. All right then, just 12 hours. Come with me to farm gold when the time comes. The rent is almost paid. Haha, we're going to be rich. We're really going to be rich. While the mechanical arm was treating his wound, Reinhardt's gaze swept toward a TV screen in the medic car. Looking at the image on the screen, he was still thinking about what was going on with the strange scene just now. Reinhardt, I think I understand why you suddenly became like this. It looks like your injury is not light. Where are you? I'll come over right away. If it was previously a prank, then the advertisement in the medic car could not be fake. He was very clear about the future influence of the game Battle Online. Medic car, send me home. Reinhardt shouted excitedly after hanging up the phone. Are you really not playing Legends of the Storm anymore? McCrae walked to his side with a bowl of noodles and asked softly. He knew that if he could become stronger in the game, then his life would change. That was because anything valuable in the game could be turned into cash in the game. Looking at the restless and excited Reinhardt, McCrae could not help but whisper again. A moment later, an intelligent ambulance came from afar and stopped beside him. Wait for me, I'll be right back. I'll tell you when I'm back. Since you're not playing anymore, then give me your account. I'll open a double account and earn more money. Thinking of this, Reinhardt suddenly became excited. He had changed his wallet 2 years ago, and so had his cell phone. In addition to the jacket on him, what was going on? Could it be a prank? Or have I really been kidnapped and robbed? Checking. Beep. Identity confirmed. Mr. Reinhardt, good evening. Please get in the car. I'll do my best to treat you. After seeing the large banner on the homepage of Battle Online's countdown icon, Reinhardt's face showed a hint of relief. He knew that his life was really going to change. Beep. Please confirm your identity. The voice of the mechanical intelligence sounded. The bustling fog city seemed very quiet at night. Did I time travel to 2 years ago? Seeing this, Reinhardt reached out his hand and pressed his fingerprint on the identification card handed out by the ambulance. He staggered a few steps forward, but the pain from his wound made him stop in his tracks. Whatever, what time is it now? The server will open at 10 o'clock sharp. Let's get ready. While speaking, Reinhardt came to his game table, turned on the computer, and took out the game helmet that was connected to the computer. The other end of the phone was silent for a few seconds, then slowly said, just 12 hours. Hurry up and finish your noodles. Let's download the game first, then check the forum. Looking at the bandage on Reinhardt's head, McRae's face showed that he had expected it. Seeing this, Reinhardt opened the car door and got in. At this moment, the screen flashed, and suddenly an advertisement popped up. Are you okay? I'm not playing anymore. This lousy game is not far from closing down. Don't be fooled by its popularity now. That's because Battle Online hasn't launched its European server yet. While speaking, Reinhardt opened the website skillfully and entered the download URL of Battle Online 173. Trust me, okay? We've been brothers for so many years, I won't lie to you. Tonight, come with me to play Battle Online. But in this life, he could only say sorry. McCrae looked at Reinhardt, who had changed drastically and was stunned for a few seconds. Reinhardt, who could no longer walk, could only take out his phone and click on the medical service. After choosing the intelligent treatment service, he sat on the spot and waited. Stop playing Legend of the Storm. Delete that game now. Battle Online will open its server tonight. Let's play that game. Reinhardt said excitedly. Yes. Reinhardt, are you awake? What about our gold farming studio if you delete the game? If you really delete the game, we won't even be able to afford the rent. Do you want to sleep on the streets? Faced with Reinhardt's strong request, McCrae was stunned on the spot. Then, he nodded with a conflicted expression. Thinking of this, he reached out and clicked on the mouse to open the official website of Battle Online 173. Examination complete. Brain injury. Beginning to treat and bandage your wound. That was a landmark game that could affect the world. 2 years later, he would only be an ordinary player in the European server, yearning to obtain a hidden class or an inherited class like the other low-level players. This scene suddenly reminded Reinhardt of something. 2 years ago, he seemed to have fallen here and broken his head. After taking out the key to open the door, Reinhardt immediately saw his best friend, McCrae, who was cooking noodles. Reinhardt was speechless. After taking out his phone and wallet, Reinhardt was stunned again. Reinhardt's eyes widened when he saw the advertisement. However, if it was all real, it would be too unbelievable. However, all these are not important. He believed that his best friend would understand after experiencing Battle Online. After arriving at his destination, Reinhardt quickly paid the fare and sprinted towards his residence. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 mechanical arms popped out from both sides of the car door. At the same time, a first aid kit popped out from his right side. I'm not crazy. I just broke my head. Did you hear what I said? Thinking of this, he immediately took out his phone and clicked on the contact list. He found his best friend's number and dialed it. How about this? You enter the game with me for 12 hours first. If you're not satisfied after 12 hours, how about we go back and play Legend of the Storm? As an old player, he had a huge innate advantage. Apart from remembering some of the mission guides, he also clearly remembered the 2 posts on the forum that shared the process of obtaining an inherited class. Beep, beep, don't worry about gold farming. Go play Battle Online as soon as possible and gain an advantage. We'll have endless money, trust me. Chapter 183. Reinhardt could not help but click on the official forum of Battle Online before the server was launched. Looking at the European server's comment section that had been occupied by the original server players, he chuckled and typed a line of words. The first player from the European server reporting in. Players from the original server, are you ready to be abused? Not long after his post was posted, he received many replies. Crayon_Shinchan. Yo kid, I'm not bragging, but when you come to Bakey, I'll let you punch me dozens of times first. Don't say that I'm bullying you. Laughing emoji. Reinhardt replied to Crayon_Shinchan. Wow, the future's strongest argumentative brother in the entire forum. Please familiarize yourself with me. Take a picture. Click. Invincible_loneliness. It's good to have ideas, but the reality is cruel. There are too many scammers in our zone. Accept the reality. Laughing emoji. Reinhardt replied to Invincible_loneliness. Evil God, my idol. First time replying to my post. Photo. Click. Leader of Demolition Officers. Is your server open today? Best wishes. See you on the battlefield in the future. Laughing emoji. Reinhardt replied to the leader of the Demolition Officers. Wow, wow, wow. The King of Fighters, huh? Group photo. Click. Reinhardt. There are so many bosses, and all of them have replied to my post. I'm so happy. But since we're opponents, I won't show any mercy. This time, the European server will be the world's #1 server in the future. AO Family Sword Technique replied to Reinhardt. I hope there will be more experts for me to challenge. Don't disappoint me. Lionheart replied to AO Family Swordplay. Boss, you'll be super scary in the future. We'll even call you the Forbidden Sword Saint. Super cool. AO Family Sword Technique replied to Reinhardt. Reinhardt was excited to see the replies to his post from these big shots who he would never be able to reach in the future. That was because he knew that he would soon become a player at the top of the pyramid in Battle Online. While chatting on the forum, Reinhardt would occasionally open 173's homepage to see if the countdown was over. He could not suppress the excitement in his heart. When it was 10 o'clock, he quickly clicked the download button that popped up on the web page, then turned his head and shouted, McCrae, come on, it's time to start the game. Oh, I'm coming. McCrae, who was cleaning up, immediately threw down the tablecloth and came to his game table. Battle Online was downloaded in less than a second thanks to the ultra-high internet speed of the year 2319. Before starting the game, Reinhardt turned to look at his best friend, McCrae. Brother, after the server opens, you go and level up first. I'll come find you once I'm done with something. Reinhardt then put on the virtual reality helmet, selected the icon of Battle Online, and entered the game. At this moment, Lu Wu and Bei Li were paying attention to the growth of the European server's players. Relying on the influence of the original server's super high rating and the 100% realistic game publicity that Company 173 said in their advertisement, the game had already been downloaded 200,000 times in less than an hour. A large number of players poured into the game, and at the same time, their souls were bound by the artifact. Woo, the person we've arranged is online, Bailey suddenly said. Lu Wu nodded as he listened. His face was filled with anticipation. I hope he won't disappoint us. After Reinhardt entered the game, he felt a brief sense of weightlessness. Then, the opening cinematics appeared. In the cinematics, millions of Black Iron Horsemen, led by several great Ghost Kings, roared at the man who stood at the top of His Excellency Sangshu's palace. The battle then broke out. One man against millions, but the man was like a devil descending from the heavens. He shuttled through the army with ease, killing his enemies continuously. After the cinematics ended, the background text appeared. Under the temptation of benefits, the clans in the land of Sangshu betrayed them. Although Xian Su had the ability to connect with the gods, he still couldn't withstand the continuous attacks of millions of soldiers. Although he was lucky to escape in the end, he was seriously injured and his strength was greatly reduced. The flame of revenge is ignited at this moment. As the heir of Xiansu, it's time to shoulder the heavy responsibility of reclaiming the land of Tsangshu. Then, the text dimmed and the character selection panel appeared in front of Reinhardt. Please choose your class: Barbarian, Necromancer, Knight. In his previous life, he played the Barbarian class. Although his output was violent, his body was very weak. However, this time, after knowing the method to obtain the inherited class, Reinhardt decided to become a knight. He immediately reached out his hand to touch the petrified knight. Immediately, the rocks on the knight's body fell off. Then his body glowed and a golden, thorny aura slowly bloomed under his feet. Then he stabbed the great sword in his hand into the ground, placed his right hand on the left side of his chest, and knelt on one knee. I will remember the virtues of humility, mercy, justice, honor, sacrifice, valor, spirituality, and honesty. I am willing to sacrifice my soul and life to fight for justice. My blood will be spilled with honor on the battlefield. At this moment, I swear on my knight's sword that I will never betray you. I bless it to be sharp forever. Unless its owner lowers his head, it will never break. Looking at the knight kneeling on one knee, Reinhardt smiled. Yes. Suddenly, his vision was shrouded in darkness. A moment later, his world regained its brightness. Birthplace, east of the land of Tsangshu, Hidden Dragon Valley. The name of the area appeared in his vision and slowly faded away. Looking at the misty, hidden Dragon Valley, Reinhardt raised his hands and took a deep breath. New world, here I come. Welcome your future king. Then, he looked around at the other players who were stunned by the game's high degree of realism. He sneered and quickly ran toward the center of the hidden Dragon Valley village. However, due to the huge number of players, he had to squeeze his way forward from his birthplace. After some effort, he finally reached the center of the village. After looking around, he found a house and pushed the door open. At this moment, Sangshu was in a daze with Xian Ku in his arms. When he saw Reinhardt, he realized that the person that Lu Wu mentioned was here. He quickly put Xian Ku's soul orb into his personal space and stood up. What's the matter, young man? Clan leader, you're severely injured. Therefore, the task of reclaiming Sangshu should be shouldered by me. I want to fight against those ghost kings and ghost generals. Sangshu was stunned. After thinking about his lines, he said, Reinhardt, you've grown up, but your strength is still far from being able to reclaim Sangshu. Don't be impulsive. Clan leader, I know that my strength is weak. Therefore, I would like to ask you if there's any way to become stronger. Only when we're strong enough can we reclaim what belongs to us. Reinhardt's determined expression made Sangshu want to laugh, but he held it in. Ahem, good boy, I'm proud of you. Although I've lost most of my strength, I know a way to become stronger. However, this inheritance can only be inherited by a powerful warrior. If you can complete my trial, I promise to give this inheritance to you. At this moment, a game notification appeared in Reinhardt's mind. Triggered the trial mission of the inherited class Dark Knight. It works. This hidden inherited class could only be triggered by the first person who swore to the village leader to reclaim the territory. Reinhardt was ecstatic. Yes. Mission initiated. First round of the Dark Knight trial. Kill 100 wandering souls and 3 swamp crocodiles. Go on, boy, complete the mission. You'll only become stronger after you've gone through the trials. Upon hearing this, Reinhardt quickly promised to complete the mission. He then turned around and walked out of the village leader's house, sprinting towards the outside world. While he was running, he once again recalled the sharing post of the inheritance that the professional player had posted. According to the post, the Dark Knight trial was divided into 6 rounds. Other than the first round of killing monsters, there were also subsequent trials, such as searching for items. Reinhardt remembered the process of these missions very clearly. To him, the first round was the hardest. After all, there were too many players at this stage. It was not easy to find these wandering souls that no one cared about in the later stages. Therefore, he quickly ran out of the village. At the same time, he chose the Knight class because the Dark Knight player in his previous life was a Knight. Therefore, he chose the Knight as his initial class to be on the safe side, in case the non-Knight class could not trigger the mission. In the early stages, there was no doubt that a person's strength was limited, especially the swamp crocodile in the first round of the mission. A person's strength could not compete with it at all. He immediately opened his friend list and selected a friend request from McCrae. After the friend request, the two agreed to meet at the village entrance. After that, Reinhardt gathered a group of players nearby, and the group headed towards the hidden dragon swamp under his lead. 3 hours later, seeing that the swamp crocodile had once again fallen into Reinhardt's trap, the way everyone looked at him changed. How did you do it? Since when did you know how to set traps? Moreover, you even know how to lure the swamp crocodile. Also, what's with your skillful combat skills? Looking at Reinhardt, who had changed drastically, his best friend McCrae finally could not help but ask. Upon hearing this, Reinhardt smiled confidently. He would not say that he used to learn the trap style from the forum because he was too noob and could not form a team. This was the experience gained from countless practical experiences. As for the skillful combat skills that McCrae mentioned, it was also something that he had practiced for 2 years. After that, with Reinhardt's command and the team's output, the efficiency of the few of them killing monsters became extremely high. Soon, Reinhardt became a recognized expert in this team. Many people even asked him if he was willing to form a guild and wanted to hang out with him. This made Reinhardt feel refreshed. Thinking of himself who used to struggle at the bottom, he suddenly had a feeling of being reborn from the ashes. I can teach you the trick of trapping and how to practice the combat skills, but you have to teach what you have learned. After all, our future opponents are very scary. They're almost like cheats. A person's strength will not play any role in front of them. Our army of Sien soon must develop in an all-round way. As for the guild you mentioned, forget it. However, it is still possible to form a team to kill monsters. Reinhardt could not help but say as he looked at the expectant faces of the crowd. Powerful opponents? The Ghost Kings and Ghost Generals nearby? McCrae asked curiously. No, the opponents who are more difficult to deal with are the Baki army, which belongs to the fourth calamity, player, camp like us. They will be recognized as the best army in the future server, and they're also known as the exclusive zone for the cheats. Are you talking about the original server that was opened 3 months earlier than us? McCrae asked curiously. That's right. How did you know? I've been with you every day, but I've never seen you pay attention to this game before. McCrae was stunned. I dreamed about it, Reinhardt said after blowing his hair handsomely. Chapter 184. As for whether this butterfly could change the future of Battle Online, Lu Wu couldn't guarantee it. He was a secret pawn that Lu Wu had exchanged for with 5 million soul coins. Lu Wu could only look forward to seeing if he could make a big impact. Skill ability. Condense a death spear and throw it at the target. It will deal high damage and cause a short period of dizziness. The duration of the dizziness is affected by the target's physique. When thrown while riding, it can increase the damage of the death spear affected by the speed. Reinhardt couldn't help but laugh out loud when he saw his Dark Knight's attribute panel. Reinhardt was prepared for this. With the memory in his head, everything was easily done. Dark Knight. Even so, this was not an easy task. In order to steal this memory of the future, Lu Wu had spent a total of 5 million soul coins to activate the power of the 6 realms in the artifact. He had only delayed it to 2 years later. If he delayed it any further, his soul coins would not be able to support him at all. After 9 hours of hard work, Reinhardt had finally completed the first trial mission under his highly efficient monster-killing plan. In the 11th hour of the game, the European server's first server announcement rang. In his memory, the inherited class was a priceless treasure. Although countless people bid for it in the next 2 years, there was never a record of a successful transaction. Back in the cross-server war between the European server and the American server, the Dark Knight player had charged into the American server's army alone. He had chosen an important team buff and support, activated a dark duel, and killed the player in the midst of tens of thousands of soldiers. Congratulations to player Reinhardt for successfully completing the hidden Easter egg mission. You have received the inherited class, Dark Knight, At this time, the 12-hour safe game notification appeared, and he was ejected from the game. Class Introduction: A dark knight from the Western Underworld. Adhering to the dark faith and holding the death spear, he wanted to spread the faith of death in the land of Sangshu. Later, he was killed by Finshui the Ghost King and Sun Shadow the Ghost King. However, the activation of the Six Realms Force consumed a lot of soul coins in less than a second. Other than the European server region that was previously locked, there was no time for Bei Li to find a suitable person. The next few missions were no longer simple to kill monsters. They required him to find items and answer questions about the Knight's Code of Conduct. It had to be said that there was a huge gap between the two servers, be it in terms of numbers or individual strength. Moreover, with the late start of the server, not only would the gap not shrink, but it would also widen. In order to increase the competition, the three of them began discussing how to solve this problem. Description: After the Dark Knight recites the dual oath, the Dark Arena will be activated. During this period, you can choose a player as your target. The chosen player will be pulled into the Dark Arena and fight you one-on-one. During this period, all external damage will be nullified. If the Dark Knight wins in the end, the body of the loser will be captured, attributes reduced by 50%, skill effects reduced by 50%, and turned into a dark slave for the Dark Knight to control for 10 minutes. Dark Rider LV1, Passive, Frowny Face Dark Duel, Unique Special. The Dark Knight's defensive ability was a headache for all classes. It was once rated as one of the top 3 classes with absolute defense in Battle Online. Bailey's idea was simple. She wanted to use the power of the artifact's 6 paths of reincarnation to extract a trace of a player's memory from the future and insert it into the memory of a European server player, giving him the illusion that he had been reborn. In reality, his memory from 2 years in the future had been reversed to the present. Skills and abilities. The Dark Knight will launch a surprise attack with the help of the mount, knocking back the enemy in front of him by 5 to 30 meters. The power and effect of the knockback will be affected by the strength, speed, attribute of the user and the mount. 30% more damage when touching an immobile unit. During the charge, the enemy you touch along the way will be judged by the strength attribute of the user. The loser will be bounced back. Of course, the selection of a Dark Knight's secret could not be done randomly. They had to find someone who was willing to contribute to the development of the server. Dark Charge. While Reinhardt was working hard to level up, Lu Wu and Bei Li were also paying close attention to him. Equipped weapon. Spear, Death Spear, growth-type weapon, needs to be customized by an advanced blacksmith. First of all, Lu Wu would definitely not weaken the development of the local server players. After all, the stronger the players, the more he would gain. Class characteristics. Death Infection, Dark Mount. This was also the reason why Reinhardt, who originally only cared about money, had the grand dream of the European server rising. It was also the reason why he was willing to take the initiative to teach the players skills in the game. Finally, Bailey gave him a suggestion, which was to create a veteran player who could lead the development of the server. At this moment, the interface of the Dark Knight appeared. As for whether his identity as a reborn person would be suspected because of the technical things he kept throwing out, Lu Wu was not worried at all. This was what he wanted. Otherwise, how could he lead the European server to develop by leaps and bounds? Skill Introduction. The Dark Knight, shrouded in the power of darkness, has a 5% immunity to all elemental attacks. The lower his HP, the higher the attack damage. The increase effect is affected by the user's level. The increase is weak in the early stage. Dark Mount, Passive. Skill Cooldown Time. 32 hours. Since the 12-hour time limit was not up yet, Reinhardt immediately bid farewell to his teammates and rushed back to Hidden Dragon Village. He looked for Sangshu and submitted the first round of the quest. Then, how to quickly improve the comprehensive ability of the European server players became a big problem. In this life, I want the title of the strongest knight in the European server. I will lead the European server to glory. Reinhardt clenched his fist, his eyes shining with excitement. Skill Cooldown Time. 30 minutes. From Reinhardt's point of view, he was reborn. However, he did not know that all of this was arranged by Lu Wu and Bei Li. Later on, He relied on the enhancement of becoming a dark enslaved player and his own elemental resistance to kill a few experts in the American server. Only then did he return to the respawn point. As his body was digitized, pieces of information appeared in his mind, causing him to clench his fist in excitement. Before the European server was launched, Lu Wu, Bei Li, and Sangshu discussed the development of the European server. Obtaining an inherited character class was also Reinhardt's biggest dream in his previous life, but he did not expect it to be realized in this way. However, what was certain was that Reinhardt's memory was real. This could be proven by the fact that the hidden Easter egg that Lu Wu and Bei Li had set could be found immediately. Bei Li modified the future Reinhardt's memory that she had stolen and implanted the idea that the European server must surpass the original server. She also set the memory to be activated before the server was launched. Then, she asked Sangshu to make a trip to the European server in advance and secretly implanted the memory into Reinhardt's body. Skill notes. This skill can only be used on players, not on monsters from the outside world. Initial character skills: Dark Knight, passive; Dark Mount, passive; Dark Charge, Death Throw; Dark Duel, Death Throw. This wave had completely squeezed him dry, leaving him with less than 1,000,000 soul coins. Skill introduction: all mounts that are subdued by the Dark Knight will be infected by death, gaining a 20% increase in all attributes. It can be resurrected after death. Each resurrection will weaken the attributes by 10%, maximum of 5 resurrections. However, this was not without a solution. One of them was to estimate the strength of the two servers. Skill cooldown time: 20 minutes. He knew very well how powerful the Dark Knights were. Chapter 185. In the early stages of a European server's development, Lu Wu had spent a lot of soul coins to build the buildings in the Hidden Dragon Village and create veterans. Now, Lu Wu was in an awkward situation where he had less than 1,000,000 soul coins. He had thought of putting the soul coins in the hands of the players into his artifact and give them to them when they wanted to use them. As for himself, as a bank to store soul coins, it was equivalent to the existence of Alipay. In this way, he would have a large number of soul coins that he could use at any time. However, there was a huge hidden danger in doing so. After all, the biggest difference between him and institutions like banks, Alipay, was that he could not create soul coins himself, while institutions like banks could rely on the stored currency to earn income by lending and other means. If Lu Wu were to exist as a storage institution, the soul coins he used would not be able to make up for it, and the loophole would only get bigger and bigger. If one day, the Beiki players were to face an unexpected situation, most of them would start to spend soul coins to buy supplies, equipment, and other items in the shop. However, Lu Wu would use the money for construction. In that case, Lu Wu would not be able to spend enough soul coins to build the items that the players needed in the shop. Therefore, for the sake of safety and to ensure the long-term operation of Battle Online, Lu Wu would not do something that would harm the future development of the game. However, Lu Wu still had a few key problems that he had not solved. These key problems were also important opportunities for him to accelerate the development of the European server. To solve these problems, he would need to spend a lot of soul coins. Hence, where the soul coins would come from was another problem. Although the European server players had also started to generate soul coins, they had just started and the amount of soul coins they created was too little to be of any use. After thinking about it and discussing with Bei Li, Lu Wu set his sights on the players who had a lot of soul coins in their hands. The Lantern Festival was just around the corner. It was time to harvest some leeks. Recently, the development of the ocean in the game had become a hot topic. The players' ocean army was getting stronger and stronger, and there were more and more warships with special abilities. There were also several top guilds from other games joining Battle Online, making the competition more intense and exciting. On this day, the players noticed an event notice popping up on the top right corner as soon as they went online. Lantern Festival Rampage Event Notice. To thank the players for their continuous support of the game. During the Lantern Festival, the game will launch a special Lantern Festival Rampage event to thank the players for their support. This event is divided into 4 categories. Event 1. Lantern Festival Lucky Draw Event Details. During the Lantern Festival, a lucky draw wheel will be added to the game store. Every 5 soul coins spent will earn a lucky draw chance. The specific prizes were as follows: rare fashion items, level 50 weapons and equipment of various qualities, high-grade spiritual materials, a free chance to use the cultivation pavilion skills, 100 soul coins, 1,000 soul coins, a guild ship, and 120 other rewards. Event date: all day, February 19th, 2319. Activity 2. Lucky Glutinous Rice Ball Event details. During the Lantern Festival, there's a chance that any monster you kill will drop an ingredient that can be used to synthesize Tangyuan. Various ingredients can be used to create different types of Tangyuan. The higher the quality of the Tangyuan, the higher the reward. Types of Lucky Glutinous Rice Balls. Black sesame filling, quality 1 required ingredients. Black sesame, peanut kernel, walnut kernel 5 kernel glutinous rice ball filling, quality 2 required ingredients. Melon seed kernels, sesame seeds, pine nuts, almonds, peach kernels, lotus fragrance soup dumpling, quality 2. Event notification. During the Lucky Glutinous Rice Ball event, monsters can drop a total of 100 ingredients. Apart from the official recipe, players can also try to mix and match the ingredients themselves. There's a chance to obtain a super high-quality special glutinous rice ball. Event date: all day, February 18th, 2319. Event 3. Lantern Riddle Quest Event details. Players who log into the game during the event will receive a Lantern Riddle brocade pouch. After the event begins, you will open the brocade pouch and receive an exclusive riddle of the location of a Lantern Festival lantern. Players who solve the riddle and find their own Lantern Festival lantern will be rewarded with soul coins. The faster you solve the riddle, the more soul coins you will get. Event notification. There will be a time leaderboard for this event. The first 100 players who solve the riddle in the shortest time will receive a special title as a reward. Event date: Lantern Festival, 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. Event 4. Lantern Festival Auction. This event will be held in both the European and local servers. Event details. Once this event starts, all players can participate. The duration is 1 hour. In this auction, there will be a trial mission for the hidden class Demonkin, low-level hidden class. Event notes. The bidding for this event is limited to soul coins. After the successful auction, you will receive the trial scroll of Demon. If you cannot complete the trial mission within the specified time, you will fail the mission and this hidden class will disappear. The Lantern Festival event seemed like Lu Wu was giving back to the players. In fact, Lu Wu's approach was similar to many other games at this stage. He only hinted to the players one message: it's time to buy credit. In order to quickly deploy the European server, Lu Wu was ready to take advantage of the Lantern Festival event to reap a huge harvest. The final reward of the Lantern Festival event was the hidden class Demon, which was the lowest level of the Spirit Summoning Palace, a ghost general. Even so, Lu Wu would not have sold it if he was not in need of soul coins. Of course, he was selling the trial mission. It did not mean that he would get it after buying it. This was also Lu Wu's intention to let the players understand the preciousness of the hidden and inherited classes. At the same time, the players started a heated discussion about the Lantern Festival event in the forum. Invincible_loneliness. Looks like it's time to collect soul coins again. Although this demon is definitely not as good as my inheritance, I can give it to the guild members to improve the guild's strength. A large wolf dog replied to Invincible_loneliness. Boss, please roll on the ground and act cute. I don't want to be a dog anymore. Expectant look. Invincible_loneliness. I refuse. You're a treasure. This demon doesn't seem to have any healing abilities. It's not as good as your white phantom. Dog, I advise you to be kind and stop having unrealistic thoughts. Expressionless face. A large wolf dog replied to Invincible_loneliness. Ow, I'm so angry. Gillfish's life has no love. JPG, Crayon_Shinchan replied to a large wolf dog. I smile and pat the dog's head. Silly dog, you don't know how lucky you are. Many people want your inheritance, but they can't get it. A large wolf dog replied to Crayon_Shinchan. The moment you reveal your true form will be the moment you die. Ferocious look, Star Universe, Europe. I love this game. The gaming experience is great. Come to the local servers forum to get acquainted. At the same time, I want to say that the demon in this event is not bad XD. High Delay Warrior, Europe. Why does the local server have 4 Lantern Festival events and the European server only has the last one? I want to protest. Crayon_Shinchan replied to High Delay Warrior, because the Lantern Festival is the local server's festival. Young man, you're not aware enough. Laughing emoji, Reinhardt. Europe, as expected, the local server has all kinds of advantages in the early stages. The development of the European server is really worrying me, but we will win. Due to the unfairness of the Lantern Festival, many European server players who received the news flooded the official forum and began to protest. They wanted an explanation from the officials. Luwu really had nothing to say about this. The local server players were now the overlords of Beiki. They occupied the 3 major regions of the Mansion of the Dead, Lioli, and the Burial Grounds. They were on par with the other Ghost Kings and could do whatever they wanted in Beiki. However, the European server players were still holed up in a corner of the Hidden Dragon Zone in the land at Songshu. With the current strength of the European server players, they would only be beaten up if they went out. They could not carry out activities in a large area at all. Luwu could not be blamed for this. Europe, Huadu, France. A young man slowly took off his virtual reality helmet. His pale face showed a hint of unwillingness. He was so close to killing the swamp crocodile and leveling up. However, at this critical moment, he was kicked out of the game because of the 12-hour game limit. It was really unbearable. His name was Li Xing. He was a Chinese man. His parents were both from Qi Dragon. Due to business reasons, they settled down in France. He was also born here. Li Xing did not usually make friends. He was completely addicted to games. In the eyes of his classmates, he was an unsociable teenager. Usually, Li Xing was very concerned about the release of new games internationally. He had long been looking forward to this game that was claimed to be 100% realistic. This time, when the official European server was launched, he decisively downloaded it to experience it. After that, he was completely captivated by this game and became a loyal player. However, the 12-hour safe gaming time limit of Battle Online was a headache for him. He went to the official forum many times to give feedback and protest. However, the officials did not reply at all. It was unbelievably cold. This made Li Xing so angry that he immediately wanted to uninstall the game. However, he downloaded it back in less than half an hour. This was because after playing Battle Online, he could not bring himself to play games with stiff movements and realistic scenes. He could only say that it was delicious. At this moment, Li Xing raised his head and looked at the Jieta Corporation's gaming pod beside him. He could not help but lift his leg to kick it. What's the use of you? The more he thought about it, the angrier Li Xing became. He immediately took out his phone and dialed the after-sales number of the Jieta Corporation's gaming pod. After a series of complaints, Li Xing still received the same reply. The problem did not lie in the gaming pod, but in the game's incompatibility with the gaming pod. They could not solve this problem, but they were trying their best to negotiate with Battle Online to solve it. The angry Li Xing immediately turned on his phone and began to check if the Black Sea gaming pod that he had ordered had arrived. The order is being delivered and has arrived to Huadu. The delivery person is XXX. The delivery is in progress. Seeing that the gaming pod had arrived at Huadu, Li Xing's face flashed with excitement. He had been looking forward to this Black Sea gaming pod for a few days. Now that it had finally arrived, he could solve the 12-hour gaming problem. Ding dong! The doorbell suddenly rang. This made Li Xing happy. He thought that it was a delivery, so he quickly ran to the door and opened it. Hello, your gaming pod. Please check. The delivery man pressed down his hat and handed over the tablet in his hand. Li Xing nodded excitedly, then pressed his fingerprint on the screen. Do you need me to send it in? At this time, the delivery man asked. Yes, help me send it in. Under Li Xing's astonished expression, the delivery man easily carried the huge gaming pod and walked into the house step by step. After assisting with the installation for about 5 minutes, the man left. Looking at the black metal frame of the gaming pod, Li Xing was excited. He quickly opened the gaming pod and entered it. Just as he expected, The Black Sea gaming pod was perfectly compatible with Battle Online. The installation was successful. This made Li Xing want to return the Jieta Corporation's gaming pod. After all, it was still a sum of money. After entering the gaming pod and starting the game, Li Xing suddenly felt a pain in his head and a voice appeared. Congratulations to the host for being bound by the Child of Destiny system of the Universal Multiverse Game World. Checking the host condition. The host is Li Xing. Congratulations to the host. You are about to start a rise. As long as you complete the mission issued by the system, you will definitely become a legendary character in Battle Online. System Rule Prompt 1. Do not tell anyone about the existence of the system. Otherwise, the host will be obliterated. System Rule Prompt 2. The system is only limited to helping the host become a powerhouse in the game. It will not help the host to interfere with reality. System Rule Prompt 3. The game screen did not appear in front of him, but the inexplicable voice kept appearing in his head. This made Li Xing completely dumbfounded. He then opened the gaming pod and got out of it. After looking at the gaming pod, he took out his phone and dialed the number of the Black Sea gaming pod after-sale service. After the call was connected, Li Xing immediately explained the reason. However, the customer service of the Black Sea gaming pod told Li Xing to wait for a while as they were checking his order. A moment later, "Hello, Mr. Li. We have confirmed that your gaming pod is still in the process of being delivered. The sender's contact number is XXX." After hanging up the phone, Li Xing was stunned on the spot. The gaming pod had clearly arrived. Why was it still in the process of being delivered? What was up with this gaming pod? "Hello, host." At this moment, the voice in his head rang again, giving Li Xing a shock. The voice exists in my head. I have really been parasitized by the system. He had read novels on a regular basis, so he naturally knew what this meant. Happiness came too suddenly and caught him off guard. Could it be that I am the main character of this world? Ding dong, at this moment, the doorbell rang. "Hello, your delivery has arrived. Please come out and sign for it." A shout came from outside the door. Chapter 186. The system's voice appeared at the same time as the interface appeared. Don't you think this is interesting? At the current stage, the trading volume of soul coins in the European server's soul coin exchange was extremely high, and the value of soul coins was constantly rising. Looking at the three gaming chambers, Li Xing's face showed a trace of helplessness. One of them was incompatible, and the other was an empty shell that was bound to the system. There was no way to enter the game at all. Only the newest gaming chamber could be used in the real sense. This was because he was very confident in the Baiki army of the national server. At this stage, the most valuable thing in the game was the inherited character class. It was a priceless treasure that could not be bought with money. He once saw a tycoon on the forum of the local server who wanted to buy an inherited character class for 30 million. Even so, no one was willing to sell it, which showed how precious it was. Li Xing nodded. After pressing his fingerprint, he signaled the courier to send the gaming pod into the house. In other words, even if the European server managed to overtake the national server under their leadership, it did not matter if Lu Wu gave them the money. The amount of soul coins that he would receive was incomparable to 1,000,000 soul coins. Looking at the system panel, Li Xing was stunned at first, but then his face lit up with joy. He did not expect the system to help him obtain clues for the inherited mission. The system that Li Xing obtained was naturally created by Bailey. Mission Reward. A map of spiritual materials scattered all over the Hidden Dragon Zone. 20 system advance points. He was very clear about the value of the inherited mission. Mission Reward. Clues for changing to the inherited character class. 30 system advance points. Multiverse Game World's Child of Destiny system. First stage 0 of 500. Just do as I say and arrange it for them. However, what Li Xing did not know was that this was one of the bargaining chips that Lu Wu gave him to work hard for the development of the European server. As for whether the European server could get the first place in the cross-server war, Lu Wu was not worried about this. Wu, what about the Asian server and the American server? Do we have to create a reborn? A system bind? Or some other settings like an old grandpa? Bailey asked curiously. One of the reasons why Lu Wu chose him as a system bind was to cultivate a super player who could stand on his own and lead the rise of the European server. Another reason was that although Li Xing was an otaku in reality, after Lu Wu and Bei Li's investigation, they found out that he was the leader of the strongest guild in the Legend of the Storm game, Zor. However, when Li Xing saw the final legendary quest, he was given a fright. At this moment, the system interface suddenly appeared in front of him. Ding! The host has entered the game and triggered the first round of missions. Rise of the Guild, Road to the Strong, Overlord of the Server. In Lu Wu's eyes, the so-called Son of Destiny was just an old farmer who helped him cultivate his leeks. The Path of the Strong, basic mission. The system created by Bei Li was not as strong as Li Xing had imagined. This was made clear when the system appeared. It would not interfere with reality and would only help him grow in the game. Hello, Mr. Li Xing. Your gaming cabin. Please sign here. Quest description. Create your own guild and expand the number of guild members to 500. He couldn't help but sigh as he watched the swamp crocodile disappear into the distance. This swamp crocodile had taken him several hours to grind it down to critical HP. He wasn't willing to let it die just like that. As for him, as the mastermind behind the scenes, all he wanted was happiness. With such an expert player, in addition to the cheat that Lu Wu had specially given him, he believed that Li Xing would play a huge role in improving the overall strength of the European server players. At this stage, it was not easy to become the #1 player in terms of comprehensive ability among the millions of European server players. He was a true expert player who was able to kill the swamp crocodile alone in the 3rd day of the server's opening. Quest reward: 1 million soul coins, 150,000 system advancement points. When Li Xing was bound by the system and thought that he was the Son of Destiny, he was dancing with joy. Lu Wu and Bei Li, who were observing him in the dark, laughed out loud. Ability 2. Unlocked after system advancement. Quest description. Become one of the top 100 players in the ranking board and maintain it for 10 days. Rise of the Guild, basic mission. This time, the courier did not help to install the gaming cabin. After all, they were not obliged to do so. In the end, Li Xing had to install the gaming cabin himself. The Overlord of the Server, legendary mission. After cheering and dancing with joy, Li Xing took a deep breath and went to open the door. Filled with excitement, Li Xing entered the gaming chamber and started the game. The reason why Lu Wu chose him to be the binder of the system was that Li Xing was the strongest player in terms of comprehensive ability in the entire European server at this stage, excluding Reinhardt. Other than those who sold soul coins at a high price on purpose, the normal price and even slightly higher price of soul coins have been swept away by the pay-to-win players to the point where there was a demand but no supply. Progress. Reached the 2nd place in the ranking board. Retention time, 1/10 day. The screen darkened and quickly became clear again. His figure appeared in the hidden dragon swamp area, where he went offline. Bailey rolled her eyes. Although he was Lu Wu's spokesperson, Lu Wu threw him to Tsangshu to manage and gave him some authority. After all, Tsangshu's main focus was on the local players, and he did not have the energy to manage them. Looking at the blushing Li Xing, the courier had a surprised look on his face. It was not easy for Li Xing to gain benefits from the system, because the degree of unlocking the system was related to the overall improvement of the European server players. The purpose of the system was to let Li Xing guide the European server players to become stronger according to the methods set by Lu Wu. He was equivalent to Lu Wu's spokesperson among the European server players. After all, Lu Wu's principle was not to participate in the game himself. The exchange rate of 1 soul coin in the European server was 1/500, so 1 million soul coins would be 500 million. This made Li Xing take a deep breath. The temptation was too great. This time, there was no situation where a single person carried the gaming cabin. The courier called for the movers in the car, and they worked together to carry the heavy gaming cabin into Li Xing's house. You've made them believe that they are the chosen ones of this world. As a professional player, he had studied the game carefully before the European server of Battle Online was launched. 1 million soul coins. What kind of concept was that? Mission description. Lead the European server to become the #1 server in the cross-server war. Lu Wu smiled mysteriously when he heard it. Ability 1. Monster detection level 1. Can detect the tracks of monsters within 100 meters. Chapter 187. Although there were voices of doubt in the forum, most of the players shared the same opinion as Crayon Shinchan. They felt that the lucky draw was only conducted within the game. Regardless of whether they won or not, the battle company would not benefit from it. Official notification. After finishing this bowl of poisonous glutinous rice ball, you will still be a good man after 3 hours. Looking at the remaining 800 soul coins, Tong Gua felt a pang of heartache. After some thought, he decided not to go for 100 consecutive lucky draws, but a single lucky draw. At this time, a group of players sat together in front of Tong Gua's forging room, each holding a deck of cards. 5-kernel glutinous rice ball filling, quality 2. Because the two of them had different tastes, the taste of the glutinous rice ball in their mouths was very strange. The lucky draw did not disappoint him this time, squeezing out all his remaining soul coins and leaving him with nothing. He had lost more than a dozen times that night. If he continued to lose, he would even lose his underwear, and the soul coins he earned from forging equipment would be almost all gone. 10 minutes later, Tong Gua's legs felt weak, and he fell onto the bed. Tong Gua, who had won for the first time, felt great. After collecting the soul coins, he could not help but take out the wood spirit wine hanging on his waist and gulp it down. Tong Gua, who was excited to gamble, bought 100 lucky draw chances in a row, thinking that he could earn back his money if he won the grand prize once. If he won the second time, he would make a huge profit. He could also sell those weapons to other players at a low price. In short, he would not lose anything. With the players' expectations, the lucky roulette was logged into the shop. This time, he thought that he would not draw again after winning once. He would win back what he had just won. He would not be greedy. Official notification. Do not eat it. Do not eat it. Murphy, why don't we try to mix it ourselves? Maybe we can make a delicious, glutinous rice ball. Item details. Eat it to gain 300 EXP and a small chance to get 1 random attribute point as a reward. After the 5th hour of the lucky draw, the number of people drawing the lucky draw began to decrease. Most people began to fight monsters in the wild and collect the materials for synthesizing glutinous rice balls. Hearing this, Yi Chun and the other players were speechless. They could not remember how many times Tong Gua's name had been reversed during this period. After the lucky draw, Tong Gua lay on the bed with a dull gaze, his heart full of regret. Why did I touch the lucky draw for no reason? Am I a fool? I don't believe I can't do anything to you. Official notification. Hero, do it. But since things had already come to this, what else could he do? He swore to fight to the death. He would either win back his capital or lose everything. Moreover, if everyone could get a regional announcement like that, it would affect the balance of the game. It was just a form of entertainment. Not only did the continuous production of the poisonous, glutinous rice balls not defeat little Pomelo, but it also made her even more courageous. After the 100 lucky draws, Tong Gua's face turned pale. Other than the highest reward of 30 soul coins, the rest were just a pile of scrap metal that was not worth much soul coins. On the other hand, little Pomelo was embarrassed. She gritted her teeth and began her second synthesis. Among them, Tong Gua was the most excited. King Bomb. Seeing that Yi Chun had played his cards, Tong Gua lifted his shirt and threw out 2 cards domineeringly. In the 3rd hour of the lucky draw, there were complaints and bragging on the forum. There were also a few voices of doubt. Looking at the introduction on the wheel, Tong Gua looked at his remaining 1,038 soul coins. He thought for a while and decided to play it once. Crayon Shinchan replied to Fat Otaku Happy Water. What's the problem? This lucky draw uses soul coins, not her coins. Whether you lose or not, the battle company can't earn any money. Is there a need to cheat you? Silly child, accept the fact that you're unlucky. Laughing emoji. At this moment, he finally understood the mentality of the game designers who organized lucky draws. It felt really good to cheat people of their money. Osmanthus durian matcha, glutinous rice balls, quality -15. Synthesized from Osmanthus durian and a dozen other ingredients. Fat Otaku Happy Water. I suspect there's something wrong with this stupid lucky draw. Other than the 300 soul coins reward, the rest are all rubbish. I'm doubting my life. Gillfish Clan doubting their life. JPG. This round was the key to deciding his life or death. Eat up. After you finish eating, we'll continue to fight monsters and collect more ingredients. You'll definitely make the most delicious, glutinous rice balls. When little Pomelo heard that, a smile appeared on her face as she took the glutinous rice ball. Tong Gua began the judgment of destiny once again. Game notification. Congratulations, you have obtained a level 10 white weapon. At this time, two figures were sitting on the shore of Lioli Coast, counting the ingredients in a morning sun. With anticipation, the two of them each had a bowl of glutinous rice balls and started eating. They were ready to continue collecting ingredients after they were done eating. It was not easy to win against them, but they ran away just like that. At this moment, Tong Gua's heart was filled with unwillingness and longing for more. After that, Murphy summoned the synthetic furnace provided by the event and clicked on the glutinous rice ball recipe table. He threw the ingredients into the furnace according to the official plan. This was the first lucky draw event in the game. Basically, all the players were eager to try it out. They could not help but open the shop, put in soul coins, and began to accept the judgment of destiny. About 10 minutes later, looking at the remaining 400 soul coins and a pile of scrap metal in the warehouse, Tong Gua wanted to cry, but had no tears. This was too unbearable. This notification made Tong Gua, who had already given up, widen his eyes. What kind of lousy will is this? Is it really that fun? Black Sesame Stuffed Heart Quality 1. After synthesizing more than 10 glutinous rice balls, little Pomelo's eyes lit up. Unwilling to give up, she began to make glutinous rice balls again. She secretly swore that she would make the most delicious glutinous rice balls. Game notification. Congratulations, you have won 1 soul coin. Murphy couldn't help but nod when he saw little Pomelo's eagerness. No, the event has started. I'll save the soul coins for the lucky draw. I still have to synthesize glutinous rice balls later. That's it for today. In their opinion, every penny they saved was the foundation for building a happy future. They could not bear to spend it on illusory luck. The first glutinous rice ball was soon out of the oven. While feeling regretful, Tong Gua bought another 100 lucky draw tickets. At this time, Murphy took out a bowl of glutinous rice ball and handed it over. However, the moment the glutinous rice ball entered their mouths, both of them shuddered. Therefore, while the players were excited about the continuous appearance of the server announcements, they were already searching for prey in Lioli District. They wanted to collect more materials to synthesize glutinous rice balls so that they could synthesize more glutinous rice balls. Due to the large number of players who participated in the Lucky Wheel of Fortune, there would be notifications from the server from time to time. It was either a rare costume or a customized weapon. How could this stupid Lucky Wheel of Fortune be such a scam? Following the appearance of the game notification, the glutinous rice balls were cooked one after another. Game notification. Unfortunately, you did not win this time. Game notification. Congratulations, you have won the grand prize of 500 soul coins. After about 3 seconds, the spinning speed of the Lucky Wheel of Fortune slowed down. The needle began to appear and slowly pointed at none. Game notification. Congratulations, you have won a level 1 white armor. On the other hand, little Pomelo wanted to cry, but had no tears. The appearance of the game notification made her think that she had made some super high-quality glutinous rice ball. She did not expect it to be an even more poisonous glutinous rice ball. Murphy and little Pomelo had different thoughts from many players. They did not participate in the Lucky Wheel of Fortune at all. After lying on his bed, Tong Gua could not help but open the interface of the shop. He wanted to see what the so-called Lucky Wheel of Fortune was, and whether it was as fun as playing cards. Congratulations to player Little Pomelo for successfully making the glutinous rice ball, walking on the road to despair. You have won the Easter egg reward, 100 soul coins. Come on then, all the best. Come on, let's continue. If Master Tong Gua doesn't make all of you cry today, I'll write my name upside down. Item notification. After eating, you will suffer the negative status of poisoned. In this status, you will lose 5 HP per second for 10 minutes. Let's go. With this mentality, Tong Gua once again began the judgment of fate. This time, Not only did he lose all his consecutive wins, but he also lost a lot of money. 5 soul coins for one time. Tongua, who was filled with doubts, could not help but purchase another lucky draw ticket and click on the draw button. When the 8th bowl of glutinous rice ball was out of the oven, black smoke suddenly emerged from the stove. Then, a notification sounded in the server. I can really win the prize. It must be fake. Meanwhile, Lu Wu, who was sitting behind the scenes and watching the soul coins in his inventory keep increasing, calmly took a sip of his tea. Game notification. Unfortunately, you did not win the prize this time. Ha ha ha. This time, Murphy finally could not hold it in anymore and laughed out loud. Awesome. Faced with this situation, Tongwa's heart was filled with regret. Why did he not know when to stop? It was obvious that this was something that the cat behind the scenes had released to cheat the players. How could he have fallen into the trap? After a while, the 2nd bowl of glutinous rice ball was out of the oven. No more cards to play, right? Tongwa glanced at the crowd proudly. Seeing that everyone was silent, Tongwa finally threw out the 3 in his hand. Under the great temptation of winning the prize, this time, Tongwa purchased 20 lucky draw tickets in one go and began to spin the lucky wheel continuously. The appearance of the game notification shocked both of them, and they quickly looked at the freshly baked glutinous rice ball. A walk on a road to despair, quality -100, synthetic material? Sitting by the coast, facing the morning sun, enjoying the sea breeze, and eating glutinous rice balls. Happiness spread from the bottom of their hearts. A 3. Yichin looked at the card in his hand and threw out a 3. Looking at Murphy, who was trying to hold back his laughter, little Pomelo felt very angry. Do I not have any talent in cooking? Ha ha, are you all stupid? Do you think you can always win against me? Come on, pay up. Game notification. Congratulations, you have won the grand prize of 300 soul coins. Yes, the Lantern Festival has begun. Let's call it a day. Murphy, who felt the pain, suddenly blushed and tried to hold back his laughter. However, the tears at the corner of his eyes were not sure if it was because of his laughter or the pain. After 5 hours of hard work, they had already obtained hundreds of different types of materials. After counting the repeated materials, they had a total of more than 300 sets. However, Tongwa was still unwilling to stop now. These were the soul coins that he had earned through forging equipment every day. Therefore, Tongwa changed his target this time. He thought that once he won back his capital, he would never touch this stupid lucky wheel again. Little Pomelo did not know how to mix the ingredients to make delicious glutinous rice balls. She completely relied on her intuition when she started to make them. She threw the ingredients that tasted better into the furnace and waited expectantly for them to turn into delicious glutinous rice balls. After Tongwa pressed the start button in the middle of the lucky wheel, the wheel began to spin rapidly, and the image began to blur. Item details. Consumed to obtain 100 experience points. Really? Little Pomelo raised her head and asked. Shewily_ the strongest. I only got a beautiful dress. I'm so happy, thanks to the lucky wheel. However, I stopped drawing after I won, so I don't comment on the probability anymore. Laughing emoji. Of course, you're the best in my heart. After looking at each other, the two of them burst into laughter. Tongwa felt dizzy after winning the lottery again. He had only played for 2 rounds, and he had already won 800 points. How many would Spirit Clan wines could he buy with that? Murphy could not help but laugh when he saw the glutinous rice balls. Item hint. After using it, you will gain the negative status of death spreading, losing 100 HP every second for 24 hours. At midnight, Battle Online's Lantern Festival officially began. To them, this kind of reward was the safest. Tongwa was stunned when he saw the players standing up and leaving. Looking at Murphy, who was still laughing, little Pomelo angrily pinched herself 3 times. The continuous game hints stunned Tongwa. Then, he jumped out of bed with bloodshot eyes and flung his clothes on the bed. Looking at the few leftover glutinous rice balls, little Pomelo finally gave up the urge to continue making more glutinous rice balls. She squatted on the floor in frustration. Tongwa could not help but sigh when he saw this scene. He thought to himself that she was indeed unreliable. How could she give soul coins to the players for no reason? Thinking of this, Tongwa picked up the clothes on the floor and turned around to enter the house. This gave the players who were drawing the lottery an illusion that they were just unlucky. Seeing that the other players did not get any good items, they might have a chance if they continued to draw the lottery. Thinking that they could earn back their money as long as they could get an item that was announced in the server, the players drew the lottery enthusiastically. Ginseng soy sauce glutinous rice balls, quality, -3, made from ginseng, soy sauce, ginger, and other ingredients. Let's follow the official recipe first. As for whether the ingredients would be wasted or not, it did not matter. To him, little Pomelo's happiness was the most important thing. Murphy knew that little Pomelo had always wanted to learn how to cook. However, due to her blindness, it was not practical for her to do it in reality. Hence, when he saw the desire in little Pomelo's eyes, he agreed without hesitation. Hence, he spent 5 soul coins in exchange for a chance to draw the lottery. Item hint: after consuming it, you will be inflicted with a negative status of poison level 2. In this status, you will lose 15 HP per second for 20 minutes. Watermelon_Turo. Go to hell. I didn't expect that I would enter a completely unlucky state. This is so upsetting. I'm already a low-level player, but the opportunity for me to rise hasn't appeared yet. Crying, it's almost time, let's try to synthesize it. Little Pomelo squinted her eyes at Murphy and smiled. Chapter 188. When a Lantern Festival event was at night, Luwu was dumbfounded as he read the posts posted by the players who made weird glutinous rice balls in the forum. There were posts like, walk on the bridge of helplessness, death stare, let's go, brother, warriors challenge, only death will stop, and so on. All kinds of weird glutinous rice balls made the players speechless. They felt that there were more and more talents in the Bakey army. They could make anything. Of course, other than the poisonous glutinous rice balls, there were also delicious glutinous rice balls of high quality. These glutinous rice balls not only had high attributes, but they also tasted great. The players who made them showed off in the forum. At 8 o'clock at night, the Lantern Riddles event officially began. In the Mansion of the Dead, Sun Chi took out the Lantern Riddles brocade pouch that could only be opened after a certain time. After taking out the note from the brocade pouch, Sun Chi found a line of words written on it. The land of the dead in peace, place of place. Sun Chi immediately realized what was going on when he saw the brocade pouch's hint. Isn't this the burial grounds? In Bakey, the only place that could truly be considered as a peaceful place for the dead was the burial grounds. Hence, he was sure that his exclusive lantern was there. Sun Chi immediately sprinted toward the burial grounds excitedly. During the event period, all the portals had been closed for the sake of fairness. Hence, he could only rely on running this time. After spending half an hour, Sun Chi ran all the way to the burial grounds. After entering the burial grounds, he took out the note again. Then, he realized that the content of the note had changed. Shattered future, trample of the gods. Sun Chi was stunned for a few seconds when he saw the hint. However, after thinking about it carefully, a smile gradually appeared on Sun Chi's face. He thought of the demonic god. After all, the most eye-catching deity in the land of Bakey was the demonic god. In the burial grounds, the shattered future and the trampling of the gods must have been the place where the demonic god and Hitorigami fought in the burial grounds. It was that battle that caused the burial grounds to collapse. Sun Chi began to run again, heading toward the place where the demonic god and Hitorigami fought. Along the way, Sun Chi passed by countless other players' lanterns and finally arrived at the place where the demonic god and Hitorigami fought. At that moment, Gozi was in the middle section of the burial grounds. However, there were still many lanterns in front of him. Although he had reached the destination, he had no idea how to find a lantern that belonged to him. Looking at the leaderboard for the Lantern Riddles event, Sun Chi realized that no one had made it onto the leaderboard yet. He anxiously took out the note again. However, this time, there was no notification on the paper. It only showed that they had arrived at the area where the lanterns were located. Gozi had no choice but to search them one by one in order to get on the board. There were about 100 lanterns in this area. After searching through half of the area, a player's figure appeared in this area. He first looked at his note and revealed a surprised expression, just like Sun Chi. Then, he quickly started searching as well. Seeing that an opponent had appeared, Guzi hurriedly sped up his search. When the man saw Go Z speed up, he also increased his speed. The two of them were filled with nervousness. After all, the reward for finding the first one would be higher. However, since Go Z was the first to arrive, he naturally had an advantage. Looking at the remaining 3 lanterns, Go Z's eyes were filled with glee. The first one wasn't, the second one was not. When Go Z turned his gaze to the third lantern, he realized that the player who arrived later was holding the lantern and checking it. At this time, the player also noticed the excited and joyful Sun Chi. The two of them looked at each other for a moment. Then, the player silently looked down at the lantern in his hand, then started running. "Hey, bastard, that's my lantern, mine. Give it back to me." Go Z was furious. He thought to himself, how can this person be so unscrupulous in order to win? This is too much. "Wait, I'll give it back to you when I find my lantern," the player said as he ran. "Bastard, go to hell. Are you that crayon Shin-chan? I'll bite you to death." Go Z bared his teeth and roared. However, what surprised Go Z was that this person's movement technique was extremely high. Relying on the assassin's advanced shadow step, he kept shuttling back and forth. For a moment, Go Z really couldn't catch him. Seeing that the player kept dodging back and forth while occasionally grabbing a lantern to check, Go Z felt aggrieved. This can't be played like this. Found it. At this time, there was a flash of excitement in the player's eyes. He raised his hand to grab a lantern. At this time, Go Z accelerated from the side and crashed into him. While he was knocked away, he bit the lantern that the player was about to bite. "Give it back to me." Seeing that Go Z had taken his lantern, the player's eyes widened. "Give it back to me first," Go Z threatened. "You first. Hurry up before anyone completes the mission. I'll be first, you second. Perfect." "Shameless. I'm obviously first. Get it back to me first." After the two of them bickered for a few minutes, a game notification suddenly sounded. "Congratulations to Win Kale for being the first player to complete the Riddle's Lantern event mission." The two of them were shocked, then spoke again. "Hurry up and give it to me. I'll be second, you third." "Shameless brat. I'll be second, you third." Congratulations to Liu Baishir for being the second player to complete the Riddle's Lantern event mission. "Give it to me. I'll be third, you fourth." "Hurry up, or there won't be any left." "Shameless. I'll be third, you fourth." "This is your last chance. Cherish it." 2 hours later, the top 100 players of this event have appeared. Players who complete the mission later will not be able to receive the event title reward. The appearance of this notification made the faces of Go Z and the player who came later pale. The man and the dog were holding the lantern with trembling hands. Once upon a time, an opportunity to become famous was placed in front of them. At 10 o'clock in the evening of the Lantern Festival, the last event of the festival officially began. Service-wide announcement: the Lantern Festival auction officially begins. After the game notification, the players noticed that a bidding panel appeared in front of them, and there was even an activity chat channel below it for chatting. This Lantern Festival auction has a time limit of 1 hour. The auction item is a hidden profession, Devilman. Only soul coins are allowed to bid during the auction. Then, a black legacy orb slowly appeared in the center of the bidding panel. Seeing this black orb, many players cried out in their hearts. After the bidding button turned from gray to red, the bidding began. Within a few seconds, the price of the Devilman's legacy orb soared to 10,000 soul coins, and in the activity chat channel, the players from both regions were already competing. Star of the Universe, Europe. I specially spent 50 million to buy this wave of soul coins before the event started. So, I want this Devilman. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Star of the Universe. Then you have to ask the local tycoon players. Laughing emoji, Reinhardt, Europe, brother from the European server, let's do it together. Although this is not a war, we can't lose either. Shueli_the_strongest. Since you guys are so rich, have you asked Invincible_loneliness? Laughing emoji. Invincible_loneliness. Let's wait and see, come on. While they were chatting, the price of the auction kept increasing. When the price of the soul coins reached 50,000, most of the players could no longer bear it, and the increase finally began to slow down, but it was still intense. Player from the original server, Guyu, bid 100,000 soul coins. Player from a European server, Jason, bid 110,000 soul coins. Player from the original server, Guyu, bid 120,000 soul coins. Player from the European server, Jason, bid 125,000 soul coins. While the two main characters were competing, the activity chat channel was also very tense. Crayon_Shinchan. TSK. It looks like brother Jason can't take it anymore. The bid has increased from 10,000 to 5,000. As expected, Boss Loneliness is the richest. Laughing emoji. High Delay Warrior. Europe. Jason is the #1 tycoon in our Zero Guild. He just doesn't want to end the battle so soon and wants to continue playing for a while. Watermelon_Turo. I'm shivering. Did you guys pick up all your money on rainy days? I, who was hiding in the corner, was shocked. You guys are too rich. Player from the original server, Guyu, bid 140,000 soul coins. Player from the European server, Jason, bid 170,000 soul coins. Jason's sudden increase of 30,000 caused an uproar in the forum, and Guyu, who was staring at the bidding panel, turned pale. This time, he only prepared 150,000 soul coins. He did not expect a player from the European server to be so well prepared to fight him head-on. Looking at the soul coins on his body, Guyu suddenly became silent. It was definitely too late to collect the soul coins now, seeing that the bidding panel did not move. The European server players in the chat channel suddenly started cheering. High Delay Warrior. Europe, see? This is called strength. Are you admitting defeat? Players from the original server Mechanic_11. Europe, Shiver in Fear. Players from the original server. Just wait for the cross-server battle. Dimensional_Traveler. Europe, it seems like they have one. As expected, the #1 tycoon in the Legend of Storm is also the #1 tycoon here. DR_Gray. Europe, HHHHH. It seems like they have one. Our European server is so strong. Looking at the European server players' chat, Guyu's face turned pale. It was not that he was reluctant to part with the money, but he was not well prepared. If he was given another chance, Guyu decided to be ruthless and collect 1 million soul coins to fight to the death with them. At this time, he noticed that a few chat boxes had popped up on his friend panel. Lu Chai, brother, the guild has collected 50,000 soul coins. I've sent them to you by email. Hold on. Yishwerer. Boss Guyu, don't be a coward. Fight. I've sent you 50,000 soul coins. Wu Guoi, the guild has collected 60,000 soul coins. Whether it's worth it or not is one thing. Face is the most important thing. We can't let them be arrogant anymore. Chun Ziyu, the guild has collected 30,000 soul coins. Brother, hold on. I've sent you the email. Looking at the emails from his friends, Guyu was touched. Then, he withdrew all the soul coins from the emails. There was a total of 690,000 soul coins. Together with his 150,000 soul coins, it was a total of 840,000 soul coins. Looking at the auction panel, Guyu entered a string of numbers and pressed the bid button. Original server player Guyu bids 250,000 soul coins. The direct increase of 100,000 instantly caused an uproar in the forum. This time, the European server players were no longer arrogant. On the other hand, the local players began to show off in various ways. Crayon_Shinchan. Oh, the one who said something about the #1 tycoon in Stormwind just now, come out. Do you know what it means to be slapped in the face? Watermelon_Taro. You are indeed the #1 tycoon in the national server. Shueli_the_strongest. Cool. He increased the price by 100,000 in one go and suppressed everything. High Delay Warrior. The battle is not over yet. Don't worry. Jason will not lose. I've never seen him lose. At this time, the European server players saw that they were being counterattacked by the original server players. They quickly began to discuss countermeasures. The Zero Guild, led by Li Xing, immediately sought help from other European server guilds. Jason even used his own name as a guarantee that the soul coins he borrowed this time would be repaid at the rate of 1,600. A large number of soul coins once again gathered. After gathering enough soul coins, Jason entered all the numbers on the bidding panel, planning to fight to the death. European server player Jason bids 450,000 soul coins, raising the price by 200,000 at once. This wave of bids made everyone hold their breath. However, the bidding had not stabilized for a few seconds when the game notification appeared again. Original server player Guyu bids 800,000 soul coins. Boom. The forum suddenly went crazy. A series of 666 flooded the screen at a speed of tens of thousands of times per second. Guyu's bid could be said to have completely displayed the momentum of the original server. The high price of 800,000 soul coins suppressed everything. Even if Jason was unwilling to give up and wanted to continue bidding, with the current development of the European server, the output of soul coins could not be compared to the local server. The other guilds could not provide him with enough soul coins to bid. However, the bidding had only gone on for half an hour. Guyu's bid remained in the center of the panel. However, all the players knew that Guyu's bid was already invincible. No one could move him anymore. Just as the players thought, when the event ended, notifications sounded. Guyu won the cross-server auction. The original server players immediately showed off in the forum, while the European server players left silently. However, the failure of this auction also made the European server players have a strong desire to surpass the original server players. Chapter 189. After the failure of the cross-server auction, many European server players were no doubt dissatisfied. Judging from the current trend of the game, it was inevitable that the game would have cross-server battles in the later stages. Since the land of Tsangshu was so close to the land of Beiki, they would definitely interact with each other in the later stages. Therefore, how to make up for the 3-month gap and let the players in their own server have an advantage over the other players became a big problem. Under such circumstances, many European server guilds suddenly united and began to discuss countermeasures. After the end of the cross-server auction, many European server players suddenly realized that a few professional players had appeared in the forum. They would publish several strategy posts every day to guide the growth of new players. Most importantly, these guides were not just general guesses. They could be used to guide players in the actual game. For example, Frowny Face Field Trap Setting Tutorial. There are a total of 18 types of traps suitable for all kinds of environments. A must-have strategy post for killing monsters and solo players. Practical tutorial for knights to tame all kinds of wild creatures. A knight without a mount has no soul. A knight with a mount can increase his own ability by 30%. Detailed explanation of the Necromancer's Sea of Bones tactic. How to protect yourself while dealing damage. Barbarian, a set of techniques for instant killing enemies in the early stages of an explosive class. The emergence of these professional players led to the development of European server players in many aspects, raising the fun of the game to a whole new level. At the current stage, 2 players who were described as god-level players appeared in the European server forum. One of them was Frenzied Blade, Li Xing, the guild leader of Zor, who was already very famous in the European server. The other one was Reinhardt, who was initially unknown but displayed extremely high gaming talent in Battle Online and was known as the #1 god-level player at the current stage. These 2 players were respected by many players in the European server. In addition to their strong abilities, they often posted strategy posts on the forum, which helped many players who encountered problems in the early stages of the game exploration. As the strongest player at the current stage, Reinhardt also received an invitation from the Zero Guild after the auction ended. Reinhardt, who originally had no intention of establishing a guild, decided to join the Zero Guild after careful consideration. After all, the Zero Guild was a very good platform to improve the overall strength of the European server. As far as he could remember, Zero Guild was very powerful in Battle Online in the later stages of the game. Apart from Jason, the #1 tycoon in the guild, who provided all kinds of financial support, they also had many skilled players. This was especially true for the guild leader, Li Xing. Even though the number of players increased in the later stages of the game, his personal strength still maintained a position in the top 10 of the European server. He had even fought his way into the top 10 of the PvP arena, which was dominated by the original server in the all-server competition. However, after seeing Li Xing, Reinhardt felt that something was wrong. Originally, he wanted to mention the importance of the overall development of the European server to Li Xing. However, before he could speak, Li Xing took the initiative to talk to him about the issue of how to accelerate the development of the European server and ask for his opinion. This was unbelievable to Reinhardt. This Li Xing was completely different from the president of Zero in his memory. However, Lionheart only treated it as a butterfly effect that he had caused and did not think much about it. Land of Tsangshu, Hidden Dragon Village. Hundreds of black-armored players were gathered here, discussing how to expand the players' influence and territory. At this moment, the guild leader, Li Xing, looked at Reinhardt. Number 1 expert, do you have any ideas? If we don't expand our territory, the resources around the Hidden Dragon Swamp won't be enough for us at all. Upon hearing this, Reinhardt nodded. Then, he looked at a burly bald man with deep blue eyes. Jason, do you still have 450,000 soul coins in your hands? Are you planning to return these soul coins to the other guilds, or use them yourself? Upon hearing this, the bald man called Jason remained silent for a while before he spoke. At this stage, I have already purchased these 450,000 soul coins from the guilds according to the ratio. So, these soul coins belong to me completely. As for how to use them, other than spending a portion of them to build the guild, I plan to use the rest of the soul coins to purchase high-level equipment and spiritual materials. This is because I've learned some information from middle server. Spiritual materials are required for the subsequent growth of the profession, especially when the naval battle begins. Upon hearing this, Reinhardt's eyes lit up. Jason, I have a suggestion. What do you think? If you dare to give it a try, perhaps we can get a lot of resources. Reinhardt's words immediately aroused the curiosity of everyone present. They looked up at him, waiting for him to elaborate further. Tell me about it. If it's feasible, I'm willing to use these soul coins to give it a try. But what's your idea? Jason asked doubtfully. It's very simple. Use all these 450,000 soul coins to build a guild-level warship. Upon hearing this, everyone present was in an uproar. They all felt that Reinhardt's idea was too unrealistic. At this stage, they had not even started developing on land. How are they going to develop their naval power? However, upon hearing this, Li Xing's eyes lit up. Reinhardt, do you mean to build the number 1 warship at this stage, and then go to the Void Ocean to plunder the resources of the players from the original server? That's right. At this stage, even the original server doesn't have a warship of this magnitude that can be built with 450,000 soul coins. So as long as this warship is built, we won't have to be afraid of the warships of the players in the Void Ocean at all. We can totally plunder their resources when we encounter them one-on-one. You must know that when players from different servers kill each other, items from their personal space will be randomly dropped. We can totally rely on the resources of the players from the original server to carry out a great development. What if we are surrounded? A player could not help but ask. First of all, a warship built with 450,000 soul coins will have a sailing speed that is far faster than the warships of the original server. Moreover, plundering resources like this will have to face these problems, but the rewards will be equally plentiful. Whether it's feasible or not depends on how you think about it. Upon hearing what Reinhardt said, everyone present fell into deep thought. However, it had to be said that plundering resources was indeed a very good route of development. However, everyone was a little uncertain whether it was appropriate to use 450,000 soul coins to build a super warship in one go. I think it's feasible. At this moment, Li Xing voiced a suggestion and then turned his head to Jason. Jason saw the president's gaze and felt ashamed. After thinking about it, he also raised his hand. Does anyone have any other suggestions? If not, I'll use all these soul coins to build a warship. Seeing that everyone was silent, Jason finally decided to use 450,000 soul coins to exchange for a super warship. After making this decision, hundreds of people from the Zero Guild headed toward the Eastern Sea. They planned to rely on the power of the warship to open up the sea ahead of time for development. However, as the European server had just started, there were not many spiritual materials in the trading house. Even if they were willing to pay a high price, they still could not buy enough spiritual materials. However, this was not a problem. Jason directly opened the cross-server trading house and began to buy all kinds of spiritual materials in the original server's trading house at a premium of 10%. They had to admit that the original server's spiritual material market was huge. Even if they invested 450,000 soul coins, they could only buy a very small part of it. It did not have a huge impact at all. After that, they bought a guild-level warship from the shop and started to feed it by the sea. They planned to build the warship that was currently ranked first in the server. After discussing with Jason and Reinhardt, Li Xing decided to cultivate the warship in the direction of the disaster level. It would increase its hardness and speed at the same time, making it a sharp weapon to fight against the warships of the original server. After spending half a day, a level 12 giant warship the size of an aircraft carrier appeared by the sea in the east of the land of Songshu. The data on the attribute panel could be said to be the most advanced warship in the current stage. Zreo, level 12 disaster level Spectre warship, evolved by swallowing a large amount of spiritual materials. The warship has a length of 354 meters, a waterline of 301 meters, a width of 5 meters, and a draft of 5 meters. Attribute introduction. Hull hardness level 13. Sailing speed level 12. There are a total of 24 levels from lowest to highest. Ability introduction. Spiritual cannons, 30 units. Tyrant collision, devour and plunder, free navigation. Domain of storms, deep sea sneak. Wrath of Zero, exclusive. Spiritual cannons, 30 units. A spiritual weapon used for long-range attacks. Before each shot, it needs to be refilled with soul coins to be used. Players have to control and aim by themselves. Extremely difficult. Charging tips. The charging of the spiritual cannons equipped with the current level of warships is divided into 6 stages, namely, Level 1 Spiritual Bullet, 5 soul coins per shot. Level 2 Spiritual Bullet, 10 soul coins per shot. Level 3 Spiritual Bullet, 20 soul coins per shot. Level 4 Spiritual Bullet, 50 soul coins per shot. Level 5 Spiritual Bullet, 150 soul coins per shot. Level 6 Spiritual Bullet, 500 soul coins per shot. Tyrant Collision, Level 3. Speed increases by 100% within 20 minutes. Hull hardness increases by 2 levels. Cooldown time, 5 hours. Free navigation, Level 3 passive. In non-combat state, sailing speed increases by 20%. This state disappears after entering combat. Devour and plunder, Level 1 passive. All warships sunk by Zreo in naval battles will suffer a 1% loss of total experience. This loss will be converted into experience for Zreo's warship to level up. Domain of Storms, Level 1. With the warship as the center, a sea storm will blow up within 1 nautical mile, 1,852 meters. The closer the enemy ship is to the center, the greater the damage and impact. After the warship activates its ability, it will be immune to the domain. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooldown time, 24 hours. Deep Sea Sneak, Special. After using this ability, the warship will enter into a state of stealth, and its sailing speed will be reduced by 50%. In this state, it will form a protective circle, and its internal members will not be affected. Duration, 3 hours. Cooldown time, 48 hours. Wrath of Zero, exclusive. Summon the Spirit of Zero warship to engage in a spiritual battle. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooldown time, 24 hours. The higher the level of the warship, the stronger the Spirit of Zero warship. The appearance of this warship excited the members of the Zero Guild. In particular, they had obtained the abilities of Deep Sea Sneak and Devour and Plunder. To them, these 2 abilities were very suitable for what they wanted to do next. One of them could devour part of the enemy's warship's experience every time it sank it, and the other could sneak under the sea to avoid being surrounded by the enemy. These two abilities were simply the best skills for guerrilla warfare. Looking at the Leviathan in front of him, Li Xing could not help but wave his hand. Everyone, get on the warship and get ready to plunder. Chapter 190. On this day, many posts requesting for support suddenly appeared on the game forum. One of the posts even attached a video. In the video, a huge battleship the size of an aircraft carrier was heading toward the battleship where the player was filming. It then slammed into the battleship he was in. The huge impact immediately tore the battleship they were in from the middle, and the entire battleship was cut in half. After the battleship sank, a large number of players fell into the water. A game notification appeared in front of the player who was filming. The battleship you are in has been sunk by this European battleship. The plundering ability has been activated. The total experience of your guild ship has been taken away by 1%. After realizing that it was the battleship of the European server players, the players who fell into the water wanted to climb up the battleship and kill the European server players. However, a storm was blowing on the surface of the sea. The huge waves swept all of them into the water, and they were strangled in the gradually forming whirlpool. At the end of the video, the screen dimmed. Many European server players jumped down from the huge battleship and began to pick up the random drops of the local server players on the surface of the water. This scene immediately caused a large number of local server players to be dissatisfied. Watermelon_Taro. Where did they get so much money to build this aircraft carrier? Besides, this battleship is obviously here to mess with us. Shueli_the_strongest. Counterattack. Counterattack. I'm contacting the guild leader. Our great dragon battleship is ready to go out to sea and snipe them. Invincible_loneliness. This battleship must be more than level 10. It's really tough, but nothing happened after the collision. However, since they dared to provoke us in advance, there's nothing more to say. Let's fight. Ye_Schwer_the_cutest. This is ridiculous. I originally wanted to wait for them to develop in peace for a while, but they've started to take the initiative to plunder us. There's nothing more to say. Let's fight. Crayon_Shinshan. I guess this is the only battleship in the entire European server. Does sinking it count as destroying the entire European server's sea power? Laughing emoji. Immediately after, a large number of players began to log into the game and gathered toward the Lioli coast. According to the statistics, the super battleship from the European server had sunk more than 30 guild-level battleships of the local server during this period of time. The number of Spectre ships of various sizes had reached more than 100. This had completely infuriated the local server players. At this time, a large number of players had gathered at the safe zone docking at the Lioli coast. Nearly 10,000 guild-level battleships and hundreds of thousands of Spectre ships were docked there, ready for a big counterattack. At this moment, Lu Chai, the temporary commander, shouted, "The temporary army's live chat channel has been activated. Everyone participating in the battle, enter the army's live chat channel and spread this message." The other guild members who heard what Lu Chai said began to post the message on their guild live chat channel. A large number of players flooded into the army live chat channel that Lu Chai had set up. Soon, the number of people in the army's channel reached more than 2 million. The number of people is about right. This time, we're going out to sea to destroy the enemy and raise the prestige of our country. Following Lu Chai's order, the warships left the safe zone of the Lioli Sea and headed toward the Void Ocean. During the voyage, Lu Chai began to lay out his tactics. If such a large-scale encirclement were to appear en masse, the European server's super battleship would definitely choose to escape. Therefore, Lu Chai planned to lure the battleship out with a decoy ship before adopting the strategy of encirclement and annihilation. When the national server fleet sailed into the Void Ocean, Lu Chai led the fleet in the direction of Vulture Island according to the clues provided by the players in the forum. At this moment, the Great Dragon warship sailed out of the formation and moved forward. Lu Chai immediately shouted in the guild live chat channel when he saw the decoy ship being deployed. "Everyone, get into the water and keep the battleship. Don't get discovered." Suddenly, The players fell into the water like dumplings and kept the battleship. The huge fleet disappeared from the sea. Under Lu Chai's lead, they waited there quietly. At this moment, on top of the mast of the Zero Guild warship near the Vulture Island, Li Xing was holding the binoculars he bought from the shop and observing the situation in the surrounding sea. Just as Reinhardt had said, they had sunk a large number of local server players' battleships and plundered a wealth of resources. These resources could not be obtained by killing monsters. The high returns made everyone on the warship very excited because they knew that this kind of plundering was indeed feasible. At this moment, Li Xing suddenly noticed a blue battleship appearing on the surface of the sea not far away. "Brothers, there's goods coming. 11 o'clock direction." Jason, who was below, heard this and immediately had a thought. The Zrio warship under his feet let out a roar and quickly changed direction to head toward the direction that Li Xing had pointed. As the Zrio warship approached, the people of the Great Dragon Guild also noticed its existence. "Boss Lu, pay attention. I've lured them into the encirclement. Get ready to support them." At this moment, Chun Ziyu shouted in the army's live chat channel. He then quickly changed the direction of the Great Dragon warship and sped away. Lu Chai, who was lying in ambush a few nautical miles away, heard this and immediately replied, "Boss Chun, it's all up to you now. The brothers here are ready." At this moment, Li Xing, who was standing on top of the mast, grabbed the mast with one hand and held the binoculars with the other. He observed the Great Dragon warship from afar and grinned. "Brothers, the prey is getting away. Speed up." There was a gap of 6 levels between the two warships. As the Zero Guild warship began to accelerate, the distance between the two warships continued to decrease. Seeing this, Chun Ziyu's face darkened. What he needed to do now was to ensure that this super warship would lead the local server players into the encirclement. However, it seemed that the warship was sailing too fast, far exceeding their expectations. "Great Dragon, activate your hegemonic form." Chun Ziyu shouted decisively as he looked at the Zero Guild warship that was less than 100 meters away. After the golden light of the hegemonic form enveloped the Great Dragon warship, the warship's speed increased. However, at this moment, a golden light flashed on the Zero Guild warship in the distance, and its speed increased tremendously. The distance between the two warships was instantly shortened. Looking at the huge ram suddenly coming from behind, Chun Ziyu's face darkened. The only miscalculation this time was that they had underestimated the strength of the European server's warship. Boom! There was a violent tremor, and the golden light on the surface of the Great Dragon warship was instantly torn apart. The ram smashed into the rear of the warship, smashing the entire aft cabin. The Great Dragon warship tilted, and the bow began to tilt under the pressure from the rear. "Ha! This warship has skills. It seems that the players on the ship have a lot of goods." Baldy Jason, who was standing at the bow of the ship, laughed out loud. The surrounding guild members also smiled as they watched the Great Dragon warship sink into the water bit by bit. The players on the warship also began to jump into the water one after another. Li Xing leaped down from the top of the mast and said to the guild members, "Old rules, 10 shots per person. Whoever hits the target gets to keep the goods." At this stage, their strength was not enough to fight against the local server players. Naturally, they did not dare to go into the water and fight them head-on. Instead, they used the spiritual energy cannon to kill the players who fell into the water. Seeing the incoming energy bullets, Chun Ziyu's face turned pale. He could not help but shout in the live chat channel, "Boss Lu, I've been sunk. Their warship is too fast. The operation has failed." Upon hearing Chun Ziyu's words, Lu Chai, who was lying in ambush in the distance, froze. After thinking for a while, he said, "Yi Shui, bring the guild members to be the second decoy. However, you must pay attention to their speed. Return immediately if you're discovered." Chapter 191. All right, Boss Lu. We'll definitely complete the mission. Yi Shui immediately summoned the Guardian warship upon hearing the order. After the crew boarded, they began to sail toward the place where Chun Ziyu fell into the water. At that moment, near the Zero Guild warship, Chunziyu and the others attempted to jump onto the warship several times to fight the European server members. However, the continuous barrage of spiritual energy bullets knocked them down one by one, not giving them a chance at all. Although they could avoid the spiritual energy bullets by diving into the water, they could only do so for a short while. They would still be attacked when they surfaced. Under such circumstances, the members of the Great Dragon Guild were constantly being killed. Li Xing and the others on the Zero Guild warship laughed happily as they looked at the light orbs of spiritual materials and equipment floating on the surface of the sea in a protected floating state. At that moment, a pink warship appeared in the distance, attracting the attention of Li Xing and the others. Brothers, we have more goods. Hurry up and finish off the few underwater. The next round of hunting begins. A trace of mockery flashed in Jason's eyes. Following that, the spiritual energy cannon in his hand continuously fired into the water, killing Chunziyu, who had just surfaced with low health points. Dive in the water, pick up the resources, and then move on to the next target. Jason smiled sinisterly as he looked at the Guardian warship that seemed to have discovered their presence and began to flee at high speed. After the members picked up all the light orbs of resources floating on the surface of the water, a loud roar came from inside the Zero Guild warship. The warship sped in the direction of the Guardian warship, like an arrow released from a bow. Boss Liu, the target is following us. He's too fast. We might not be able to hold him off. You better prepare another warship as bait. Yishuer gritted her teeth as she looked at the Zero Guild warship that was expanding in her sight. Lu Chai's expression turned solemn. He did not expect the European server to have such a powerful warship. The Great Dragon warship and the Guardian warship were considered the top warships among the players of the middle server. However, they were so weak against this super warship from the European server. It was evident that this warship was of a high level. However, Lu Chai immediately began to prepare. He sent another warship in the direction of the Guardian warship. Just as Yi Shui had predicted, the Zero Guild warship caught up to their warship in no time. The huge ram of the warship poked a large hole in the tail of their warship, causing a large amount of seawater to pour in. Seeing the Guardian warship begin to sink slowly, the people on the Zero Guild warship could not help but cheer. This kind of crushing victory was very enjoyable for them. However, at this moment, another battleship appeared not far away. After this battleship appeared, it immediately changed direction and began to speed away. This time, let's sink that battleship as well. We'll come back later to reap the harvest. With that said, Jason willed the Zero Guild warship to push over the top of the Guardian ship, which was already half submerged, and completely submerged the entire Guardian ship. It seems like the original players are aware of our existence. Lionheart smiled. You could take a look at the forum. They seem to be planning to encircle and annihilate us. Li Xing shrugged. Hearing this, the crowd could not help but burst into laughter. They had confidence in the Zero Guild warship. At the very least, its speed was unparalleled in this region of the sea. As long as they discovered a large number of enemies, there was no way they could not escape. But just as they were laughing, a dense swarm of heads suddenly appeared around them. Then, 1 ship, 10 ships, 100 ships, a large number of battleships emerged from all directions, stunning Li Xing and the rest. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of thousands of ships appeared around them, forming several lines of encirclement. OMG, what's going on? How do we get surrounded? Where did they come from? Jason looked around with a look of disbelief. *T, the 2 ships in front are bait. They've been lurking in the water since we got close, waiting for us to enter the encirclement. Li Xing said gloomily. Quick, put away the battleship. We're going offline. Lionheart roared as he looked at the densely packed battleships around him. However, at this moment, on one of the original players' battleships near the Zero Guild warship, a magician player condensed a water ball in his hand and threw it at them. Pow! The water ball hit the surface of the battleship and scattered into water droplets. Battle status. Unable to put away the battleship. Unable to go offline. The appearance of the game notification made the faces of the people on the Zero warship darken. At this moment, they realized that they had fallen into an ambush. Although death was not scary, the price of being killed in different servers was a random amount of resources. At this stage, each of them had a large amount of resources on them. The price of dying once was not a small one. Moreover, if this level 12 super battleship was destroyed, the spiritual materials needed to repair it would cost a hefty sum. Ram them. Surround them. Magicians on the other battleships, prepare the cannons. Warriors and assassins, charge forward and kill them. Upon hearing Lu Chai's order, the battleships near the Zero Guild warship disregarded their losses and rammed into the Zero Guild warship, surrounding it in the middle. Meanwhile, the following battleships pushed forward, blocking the Zero Guild warship in the middle. At this moment, the distance between the battleships was extremely small. Warriors and assassins began to cross the battleships and rush toward the Zero Guild warship. They wanted to board the Zero Guild warship and engage in close combat. Faced with such a strong encirclement, many players on the Zero Guild warship were dumbfounded. They did not know what to do. As a large number of spells and skills surged, the protective layer outside the warship set off countless ripples. It seemed like it was only a matter of time before the warship was breached. There's still a chance. Stealth. We haven't used it before. Get a try, Jason. Li Xing roared. He knew that if the original players boarded the warship, they would be dead meat. Upon hearing this, Jason hurriedly ordered the battleships to enter the water. Roar! A deafening roar was heard as the gigantic warship began to slowly sink into the water. Seeing that diving was effective, Li Xing and the others cheered. As long as they could dive into the water, it would not be a problem for them to escape from the encirclement. Lu Chai and the others who witnessed this scene were furious. They did not expect the warship to have such an ability. When the Zero Guild warship completely sank into the water, a black shadow appeared on the surface of the water and slowly sailed forward. All warships, follow up. I don't believe that they can keep diving. Upon hearing the order, the fleet of warships began to change direction and surrounded the black shadow underwater as they advanced. An hour later, underwater, the members of the Zero Guild still looked grim. Navigating underwater was extremely difficult and their speed was limited. There was no way they could shake off their pursuers. If they continued to be followed, they would still be surrounded when they surfaced. They had thought of diving deep into the water so that the original players on the surface would not be able to discover them. However, this method did not work. These original players seemed to have some ability to lock onto them. No matter where they went, these warships would follow them. This made them have no idea how to escape from the encirclement of the fleet of warships. Under such circumstances, the members of the Zero Guild were very worried. By the way, we can go to the Marine safe zone of the original server. We can't attack there, and they can't do anything to us. Reinhardt suddenly suggested. That's right. As long as we reach the safe zone, they won't be able to harm us at all. Li Xing's eyes lit up. Huh, why didn't I think of that? There are still 2 hours left. We should be able to reach the safe zone. Quick, to the Lioli coast. Hearing Reinhardt's words, Jason laughed out loud. He quickly turned the ship around and sailed toward the Lioli coast. On the surface of the water, boss, something's not right. They seem to be heading toward the Lioli coast. That's our territory. Are they trying to die? A player looked at the tracking compass in his hand and said, Damn it, they're heading to the safe zone. Stop them. Lu Chai immediately roared in the army's live chat channel. Hearing Lu Chai's words, the players realized that the situation was not good. If they really let them run into the safe zone, they would not be able to fight there. It would be equivalent to them escaping. Suddenly, a large number of spells were fired toward the water. However, the Zero warship was too deep in the water, and the spells could not reach it all. Looking at the Lioli Sea area on the map that was getting closer and closer, Lu Chai's face darkened. Boss Lu, I think I have a way to deal with him. At this time, a voice sounded in the live chat channel. On the 3rd hour of following Zero, a huge battleship appeared in the safe zone of Lioli Sea. Behind him, countless battleships of various sizes surrounded him. We've arrived safely. Perfect. Li Xing and the others stood at the bow of the ship and looked at the angry gazes of the original server players. They were in a good mood. This was a safe zone, and all damage was nullified, so they were not worried about being sunk. "Sorry, brothers, but we're safe now." Jason climbed to the top of the mast and laughed as he looked down. Looking at Jason and the others who were proud of themselves, a smile flashed across Lu Chai's eyes. He then shouted in the live chat channel, "Brothers, board their battleships." Following Lu Chai's command, a large number of players swarmed toward the Zero Guild warship. They climbed up the hull of the warship and boarded the deck one after another. When Jason saw this, he shrugged. "Brothers from the original server, this is a safe zone. It's protected. No matter how you attack, it'll be useless." Seeing more and more original server players boarding, Li Xing and the others could feel their anger. However, they were not worried at all because they were invincible in the safe zone. "Brothers, take out the heaviest thing in your space and sink it for me." Following Lu Chai's command, the players who had boarded the Zero Guild warship grinned and started taking out items from their channels. Seeing the original server players taking out items and throwing them on the deck, Li Xing and the others were stunned. They had no idea what they were trying to do. However, Li Xing soon realized the problem and quickly looked at the display panel on the hull. "Weight 34/100. They want to sink the Zero Guild." Li Xing could not help but exclaim. Hearing this, the faces of the members of the Zero Guild turned pale. At this moment, they realized what the original server players were trying to do. F***CK, brother, you actually hid 2 big rocks in your channel. That's awesome. Io, you're not bad yourself. You actually put a pile of scrap metal in your channel. Interesting. F***CK, brother, you actually put an elephant carcass in your channel. You're a F***king genius. Brother who put a pile of crushed rocks in your channel. Can I ask what exactly you're using it for? As more and more materials were piled up, the weight of the Zero Guild warship gradually turned yellow, then red. At this moment, someone suddenly started playing the theme song of the Titanic, "My Heart Will Go On, My Heart Will Go On," in the Army's live chat channel. In the midst of the music, the Zero Guild warship sank bit by bit. The original server players felt a sense of satisfaction in their hearts and began to cheer.